Hello and welcome to Cabin Fever Radio. Welcome. This is season 4 of Cabin Fever Radio, where an isolated group of talented actors and creators come together to stave off their madness and yours and keep us all entertained through dramatic readings of your favorite movies and TV shows, along with original material. This episode is sponsored by Vengeance Turns the Motion Picture. What started out as an original Cabin Fever Radio show and podcast turned motion picture, but we hear a little bit more about them later in the show. I am your host for the evening, Mr. David Ruano, and in this season, we are focusing on a series of feature-length films that have in one way or another inspired parts of Vengeance Turns the Motion Picture. And joining us for the reading is Robert Christopher Smith and Rob Fury. I have to roll my R's a lot today. Why am I rolling my R's? Because
from California.
California. Well, more than anything, we are doing a film that is actually pretty amazing called El Mariachi Corrido 2. That's the title for the second draft, but the movie is Desperado. Written and directed by Robert Rodriguez, hence the rolling of the R's.
Who's it written by again?
Robert Rodriguez.
Okay, gotcha.
Roberto Rodriguez.
It's going to be a lot of the show today.
Rodriguez.
And as always, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Cabin Fever Radio on all social medias. The links will be in the description below, so you can stay up to date with our various shows, especially Vengeance Turns the Motion Picture. And remember that you can chat with us live while we're doing the live stream, and we would love to interact with you guys. And if you're watching this afterwards or listening on a podcast, please sure to leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, like it, share it, subscribe, do all those little buttons. And this series of films, we are doing a giveaway, a raffle of sorts. We're going to raffle off Vengeance Turns merchandise. And all you have to do is take a photo or screenshot of the live stream with all of us, all our beautiful faces, post it on Instagram, and tag Cabin Fever Radio. That gets you entered into the raffle. And we will be selecting 2 winners at the end of the show. It's that simple. So if you want to get your hands on some Vengeance Turns merch, participate on the raffle. Again, I have to do photo screenshot of the live stream.
Free stuff.
Post it, tag us, Cabin Fever Radio, and you're entered to the raffle. That being said, are we ready to go?
One second, let me hit this button here. Free stuff.
Free stuff at
All right.
We are ready.
Someone call Danny Trejo and tell him it's time.
I think he's busy with his taco bar.
Tacos.
Not the donut shop. He also got Trejo.
Oh,
donuts.
it was a donut shop. Yeah, my bad.
No, besides the tacos.
Oh, he has tacos and donuts?
Yep.
Dang, you, Trejo. Why are you so good?
It's pronounced Traco.
It's a traco and a trona.
It's a taco truck.
Someday we will tell you the secret history of how the taco was invented, but it's secret, so not today.
Yeah.
It has to do with lightning,
And
in a bottle.
a cow, and a field of corn.
Oh, yeah. That will be on a future episode show, most likely on the improv show that we will talk about in the post show. So stay tuned for that too. Go to patreon.com/CabinFeverRadio to see the post show.
David, we cannot talk about it right now.
Oh, yeah. I'm just trying to segue into
Okay.
El Mariachi Corrido 2, also known as Desperado.
That's interesting. We are at the interior of the Tarasco bar room in Santa Cecilia, Mexico. It's dusk. We're seeing from the POV. It's important to know that this movie was written specifically for a few different people, to be honest. Steve Buscemi being one and Quentin Tarantino being another. The name of this character coming up is literally Buscemi. So from the POV of Buscemi bursting through the doorway into the bowels of the stench-filled Tarasco bar, Buscemi, an Anglo character, Gringo, about 28 years old and not in the best physical shape, rambles toward the nearest bar stool, which seems a mile away in his forced perspective. He inspects the room full of roguish, disgusting-looking barflies, nursing bottles of cheap booze and sour dreams of glory in this forgotten Mexican border town. His kind of people. He takes a seat, trying to keep his balance on his uneven bar stool as the short bartender finishes serving another customer. It's obvious from the guarded whispers and ambiance that not everyone is here for booze's sake. There's dealings being done.
What do you want?
Booze.
All I've got is this piss warm, but inexpensive.
That's my brand.
All right.
That short sorry.
Short bartender?
Yeah.
He's a
Whoops.
bartender?
Different movie. Short bartender fetches the drink. The Buscemi character soaks up the surroundings like a sponge, man. He's just like looking at how many men at the window seats, who's guarding the back, who's flanking the godforsaken altar of booze where the short bartender reigns king supreme. This short bartender or balltender serves him a dirty glass full of something that more than fits the description of piss warm and inexpensive. Buscemi swigs it coolly, though, savoring every rotten drop.
Well, that is damn good.
The short bartender doesn't have any reason to believe him.
I'd say this is the best booze I've ever had.
That little bartender knows the booze is cheap, but these undeserved compliments kind of like rub him the wrong way.
Actually,
the short bartender trying to ignore him, man, waiting on one of his regulars.
You need anything over there?
Negative nods from the rogues. Nobody's going to help him get away from this little chatterbox.
I'm just glad to be alive right now.
That short bartender grabs his own half-full brew and sits back against his counter. He's going to have to wait this one out.
I was up a few towns away, Zaragoza.
The short bartender waits a beat before was just surrendering a nod.
I was visiting the bar there. Unlike this one, they served beer, not quite as good as this one, but close. And I saw something you wouldn't believe.
Now that short bartender, he doesn't give a shit. He's not on the edge of his seat.
I'm sitting there, see? Small table, all by myself. Now this bar, it was full of real lowlives. I mean, I was wondering what I was doing there, Not like this place. No, I mean bad. Like they were up to no good. You know what I'm saying?
A few of the rogues are starting to exchange drunken looks as he talks, and the short bartender's eyes are staying fixed on him.
But I was there because I was there, same old story. Anyway, all by myself, and I like it the way. Not saying a word. Meanwhile, things are going on under the table kind of thing. Not too obvious, but not too secret neither.
A few of the rogues seem to have nothing better to do now than just listen to Buscemi because, that's just what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there,
The bartender's not even wondering when the story's going to start. He's just pouring himself another drink.
So I'm sitting there.
Let's just look. Let's cut here and flash back. From the POV of an unseen stranger opening a bar door, just as we saw Buscemi do a few minutes ago, we hear Buscemi's voice over this dreamy, slow motion kind of flashback of this guy busting in.
And in walks the biggest Mexican I've ever seen. Just walks in like he owns the place. Big ass shit. No one knew quite what to make of him or quite what to think. But there he was. And in he walked.
Now, understand, everybody, Buscemi here is whiter. He's like me, whiter than the powder that they're trading neath the tables in there. His biggest Mexican observation brings these like slow heads turning from the rogues that are listening to him. They're all listening now. And even the short bartender that didn't give a shit before has stopped drinking like mid-sip.
Dark, too.
Buscemi's like surveying the nearby. He knows that he has their attention now, and like he's drinking it in. This is more like it.
And I don't mean like dark-skinned. No, this was different. It was like he was always walking in a shadow.
So we're going to get back into that flashback again, and we see that stranger walking tall, slow, faceless towards the bar. The light from the bar hits the stranger in like such a way that you can only see details on his clothes, but his face is like perpetually in shadow, and his head is like strangely kind of backlit, emphasizing that. And he passes groups of seated, rough-looking, unfriendly folk, like the three of us you see on the screen today.
And I mean, every step he took towards the light, just as you thought his face was going to be revealed.
The stranger nears a light, a bit of his face starting to reveal itself, beginning at the chin and kind of illuminating up to his nose.
It wasn't.
We see that shadow crawl back down the stranger's face, obscuring his identity from everyone.
As if the light dimmed just for him.
The mood is thick in this bar now. The whole room has fallen silent. Everyone is listening. You can almost hear a low rumbling kind of permeating the room. The mood is suddenly broken in half by a rogue's rude laugh. The short bartender joins in. The rogues go about their business. No amount of booze is going to change their mind about Buscemi. The verdict is out. He's full of shit. There's no point listening to this cat anymore.
So this guy, he takes a seat at the bar, asks the bartender for a soda pop, sits back and says nothing.
Soda pop.
He just nods.
Now, I wasn't interested in his drink. I was more interested in what he was carrying when he walked in. Some sort of suitcase, kind of heavy. He just sat that thing down on the stool beside him as if it was his girl.
And now we're going to get back in that flashback. In the flashback, we see Buscemi like peering from over his seat. Buscemi's POV of that guitar case sitting next to the stranger whose face is still in shadows as he serves his soda pop.
Then all of a sudden, the bastard spoke. Started talking low and whispery with the bartender. And you know he wasn't talking soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. He was talking business. Because whatever he said, it was upsetting the bartender, especially when he mentioned...
The short bartender now gave up on this character a long time ago. He's finished the beer. He's wiping the mug with a dirty rag. He sets the bottle on the counter beside him.
He says something like bitch or bucho. That was what it was. Bucho.
That did it. That got the bartender to stop what he was doing. Buscemi gets a few slow head turns even from those nearby rogues who are listening. That low rumble is back in the room, and now pins can be heard dropping.
Well, whatever he said, it pissed off the bartender plenty. And some of the unsavory characters I told you about, not class act like these boys here, but real scum. They got plenty pissed too, so they got up. And they started pulling out guns and knives and what have you, and started some shit.
Buscemi has got the audience riveted now. He acts the scene out, and we intercut between flashbacks of the real event and Buscemi's show.
And this stranger, he bolts out of the bar stool like you wouldn't believe, grabs his case like it was a girl and been assigned to protect, and dives into the middle of the room with it. Just dives right in.
Rogues exchange looks with the bartender at the sheer nonsense of this whole story, but what the hell else do they have to listen to?
And now, I don't know what he did on the floor as he's somersaulting. Kind of weird on the text here. As he's but he's up in two shakes and the suitcase and wides open, and he pulls out God knows what out of whatever it was and gets two of the biggest hand cannons I've ever seen.
Let's flash back again and see that stranger rising from the ground, surrounded by angry scum. And he levels what appears to be the biggest firearm you've ever seen, like Rob Liefeld comic style shit. We can't really tell because it's blinding fire so fast you can't get a good look at it, nor the damage it's doing as bodies fly about the room, mostly in pieces, crashing into this and that. Knives flash and get buried in the wrong chests. Bullets fly and take out the wrong men. The place is a madhouse, and the berserker in the middle is this faceless stranger doing unspeakably impressive acts of violence too fast for the human eye to register. but enough to make you wonder if he might just be the devil himself. And where on earth did he learn these tricks, man? His spurred boots swoop around the room like a high-powered ceiling fan. The sound of the flesh being sliced by these silver little spur tips flashing like crimson lightning.
You're telling me you stood there and watched all this go on?
All the rogues are turning now to listen.
You didn't even run for cover or join in?
Buscemi is staring, wide-eyed, and he has wide eyes at the short bartender like he's just not getting it.
What's joining in? I was frozen stiff. All I could do was watch this. Think tear down the place apart. I mean, it was amazing. Cutthroat scumbags were coming out of the woodworks and dying much deserved deaths, actually.
We see a few incredible sprinkles of that show. We see bodies hurled out of windows, corpses hitting the roof and then striking the ground hard, bags of toot, Coke, baby, and money spilling out everywhere.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This was no class act group of guys like you got here.
Buscemi glances over at the scumbags around him.
Not at all. I mean, these guys were world-class turds. And I'm sorry, but they got what they deserved. It was judgment night in that place. And the whole time this was going on.
Let's just flash back one more time. We see the death-like slow motion of this stranger in action.
I never saw the guy's face.
That rumble in the room, it's definitely happening. And the rogues are quiet as mutes. The warm beer is the furthest thing from the short bartender's mind.
Not once. I mean, who could? The place was raining blood.
Let's cut to. It's dark. It's hard to see. It's like stylized, shots of that stranger we were talking about, standing alone in a heap of bodies. There's blood dripping from the ceiling in like a thick sprinkle. The stranger himself slowly lowers to the ground and grabs hold of some dying turd.
So he grabs one of the guys, the only one still breathing, and starts getting information from him. I heard him talking, so I started walking over, real slow, just for a little peek.
And we stay at his POV with that stranger. His back, the stranger's back is to Buscemi.
And I just knew. By the whispering and all, I just knew. This guy was giving up the whole goods, spilling his guts, confessing the world. He must have told the stranger everything. Because I was moving real slow. Took me almost 3 whole minutes to get, from point A to point B. And when I got there, that guy was still spilling it.
The whole story just now comes to a halt. Buscemi's eyes are fixed on his empty mug. The short bartender notices this and immediately grabs the mug and refills it with some brew and then slowly pushes it across the counter to Buscemi. Compliments of the house. Buscemi brings the soupy brew up to his lips and freezes. The room's eyes, everyone, they're just staring at him. Buscemi studies the mug. He practically writes a book about this mug.
Can I have a cleaner mug? This one's dirty.
The rogues all kind of look at each other, and then they look at the bartender, who's obviously insulted. I mean, the balls on this guy asking for a clean glass to the short bartender's face.
Fuck you, man. That's the cleanest one I got.
Buscemi knows this asshole's lying. The bartender grabs the beer and dumps it into another dirty glass. Buscemi waits patiently, trying not to notice the cold, hard stares of his waiting audience. The bartender slams that new mug down right in front of him.
Well, so anyway, I get right near this guy. Don't ask me why I'm doing this. I just wanted to.
And we see him cautiously walking up to that stranger who's crouched over on the floor with his back to Buscemi.
I just wanted to shake this guy's hand. I mean, one gunfight later, and the planet has 50 less world-class turds to worry about. I mean, hallelujah, right?
Buscemi is right next to this stranger now. He's looking not unlike someone trying to muster up the courage to ask for like some kind of autograph or something, a fanboy.
And then without warning, without any hint or preview, this guy whips around and sees me.
The suspense is killing everyone. They want to hear this.
And I see him.
You saw his face?
His face? No. His eyes.
We see Buscemi's POV of the mostly visible face of the stranger, this El Mariachi, who is looking deep into Buscemi's eyes, into our eyes, guys. The mariachi releases the bad guy's throat and then rises slowly from that corpse-strewn floor. He has a 45 fixed on Buscemi. He stands and he's emotionless.
And he didn't do a thing to you.
What was there to do? I suggested that this was none of my business.
Buscemi just shrugs his shoulders helplessly at the mariachi in that flashback, as if to say his presence here, like it's an accident, man.
And he must have agreed because he turned his attention back to the guy on the floor, who, right at this time,
We see the mariachi like turning around.
was reaching.
Low angle, it's a spooky shot of that mariachi towering over the camera. A slow turning fan over his head like some kind of halo. As he aims the 45 into the camera and fires.
And the stranger shot him.
All eyes are fixed on Buscemi now, who's searching deep into his mug for any further recollections.
And the bartender?
Buscemi looks up at that bartender we've been dealing
What?
with.
What?
The bartender, was he killed?
The silence is broken by a laughing rogue's short burst of a laugh, but the short bartender, he's not laughing. It ain't funny.
The stranger paid for his drink and left.
Buscemi takes a gulp of his brew, and we flash back and we see that stranger dropping some coins in front of a nervous bartender, just like Buscemi said, before stepping over dead bodies to get to the door. At the bar, the short bartender looks like kind of cocky now.
The bartender never gets killed, man.
That rogue smiles, and Buscemi swallows his brew and raises his finger.
But
And now that bartender's smile goes boop.
as the stranger neared the door,
Let's just flash back and I'll show you. The mariachi strides to the door. The bartender raises a shotgun like some kind of fucking idiot and levels it for aim. The mariachi spins around and empties his 45 into the bartender, each slug lifting the beermeister a few feet higher until he's completely airborne and crashing into the shelves of souvenir bottles behind him. The mariachi just side holsters his gun and disappears out the door. And back here at the bar, Buscemi is just shaking his head in sorrowful remembrance.
oh yeah, man. The bartender got it worse than anyone.
Buscemi's finished with that beer. Now he just slides the mug away. Another beer and a cleaner mug at that is slowly pushed down in front of him.
This was on the house. If you can remember his face.
Thanks, but no thanks. I'm clearing out of here, boys.
Buscemi just lets out a little burp.
Because I think
He pushes himself away from the bar.
he's headed this way.
The short bartender stares helplessly after Buscemi, who casually waltzes to the door, the camera just following his journey.
Thanks, boys. Y'all take care now.
He spins out the door. The camera follows the gazes of the dumbstruck and silently brooding rogues up to the short bartender. He doesn't look happy at all. He looks worried. And this is one of the coolest openings for a movie ever. Now we have our credit sequence. It's a black screen. A guitar is strapped on. Close up of tuning knobs being tightened and fingers loosening up. A hand emerges from the darkness, strumming down over the taut strings, and the playing begins. The mariachi, and you should see El Mariachi as well, is clean cut, dressed to kill, playing in his element. He's in a club of some sort. It's like a classy joint, and he plays fast and furious as these credits are rolling by. The song he plays is elaborate and features his virtuoso guitar work and his baritone voice. He has two other musicians, Campa and Kino, standing behind him. They're all playing guitars. On Campa's shoulders is a small monkey, dressed in his own little black and white mariachi outfit with a sombrero riding on his back. He strums his own little guitar and then prances around collecting tips. The song that they're playing is catchy, it's energetic, and one that would get the idea that just go outside these walls on a radio somewhere, it'd be a big, big hit, you know? The girls scream as they see his fingers deftly forcing the guitar strings to sing their beautiful melodies. There's a fight broken out at the other end of the bar, a fight over a girl. It's the way it always is. Someone's pulled out a knife. The mariachi sees this and suddenly leaps atop the bar counter. And as he's still playing this intricate pattern, that are required at this point of the song, he walks across the bar, just kicking a few glasses out of the way now and then, making his way over to that fight. Well, the knife man has his back to the mariachi. The mariachi kneels down on the bar with his guitar neck just behind like the knife man's head. The mariachi completes a stunning and complex section of the song, accenting it by whacking the knife out of this knife man's hand. And the nearby men and women pull the knife away, beat the knife man to a pulp, and then carry that cat out of the bar. The crowd is going nuts for the mariachi as he walks back across the bar where he came from, continuing the song, never missing a beat, right? He's wooing the chicks. He's keeping his balance without missing a note. It's incredible. You had to be there. Finally, after winning over several hundred female admirers, all to the agitation of their dates, mind you, he finishes the song in a grand display. We've all taken a girl to a concert. We know how that works. After such an outstanding performance, truly, he deserves like a standing ovation. Everybody has to be on their feet, right? He holds his guitar up high above his head after striking up the final chord, and he listens intently for the uproarious applause that should follow. But you know what? He hears nothing. So the mariachi's like dumbfounded. No one moves. The place is completely dead. All the eyes just stare at him. He stands there like an idiot waiting for belated applause, and it doesn't ever come. And the credits are just still rolling by. The mariachi finally hears a sound. It's the lonely sound of a single person clapping with one hand, mind you. The clap is slow and rhythmic, beginning faintly in the back of the room, like one of those slow clap things in an 80s movie. The clap grows louder as the person moves towards the mariachi, who strains to see that far into the darkness. Who could it be? The mariachi doesn't wait to find out, though. He just nods his head and waves his hand and says, "Thank you," to his unseen friend. Probably, "Gracias." The mystery person, unless he wanted to confuse them, because it was in Mexico, he could have said, "Thank you." The mystery person, a man in white, his rhythmic clapping now at like full audibility, you can hear it just fine. He steps out of the darkness. The mariachi realizes that the man isn't applauding him at all, but rather clapping a pack of Marlboros against his hand. Smokers, you know, trying to get a cigarette out. He frees one. He clearly making a bigger show than he needed to. It ain't that hard to get your smokes out. He puts one of them in his mouth and continues walking towards the mariachi. This man is Moco. Moco passes his henchman, Bigoton, who is staring at mariachi. Moco strikes a match across Bigoton's chin and lights up that cigarette. The mariachi lowers his arm, and the credits, they're almost finished. Someone places their hand on the mariachi's back. Startled, he spins to see who it is. Domino meets his gaze. So he looks surprised to see her. She moves toward him for a kick as the last of the credits are like finishing up. As he nears her lips, a loud knocking sound is heard off screen. The mariachi hears that and shifts his eyes to the direction of the sound. Domino is still waiting for that kiss, man. Like every chick in that bar, right? Her eyes closed. He turns his attention back to her. Their lips are nearly touching. It's like a long overdue kiss between lovers of like, you know, the ages kind of thing. There's a knocking sound again. He finally turns around to see where it's coming from, and we cut to the interior of a hotel. It's in the bed, and the mariachi's laying there. He wakes up with a start. It was all a dream. He turns his head towards the door in a perfect match cut with the previous scene. And this is definitely not the mariachi that we saw in the credits sequence, okay? This mariachi looks like he's seen a few years of hard mileage, maybe some tipping up the bottle, you know what I'm saying? He's not completely awake yet we can see that he's changed. Music is no longer a priority or a source of happiness in his life. He's lost it, you know? He's like becoming more like of a conservative, you might say, like a fringe GOP, losing his happiness. The darkness of the room adds to the mood. A few light shafts piercing the dirty hotel room around him illuminate his face. You know, we didn't get that with the mariachi. The knocking sound again, knock, knock, knock. We're just not getting away from this. He throws a glance to the chair where his dog, a pit bull, is sleeping soundly, peacefully, unbothered by all the noise. So the mariachi crawls out of his bed. He stumbles over to the door, not looking, you know, graceful or physical like the mariachi that we saw before. He takes a moment to regain his senses, catch his breath, maybe cough out, last night's bong hits or whatever. And he tries to remember if he was expecting anyone today. Looks at his little calendar on his cell phone and nope, no appointments. So he takes his 45 from outside of the frame and he raises it at the door.
Who is it?
There's no answer. It's just the wind blowing.
Your pimp.
The mariachi opens the door a crack and shoves the gun outside.
Ouch.
Mariachi guides the person into the room, the gun barrel planted firmly on the man's temple. It's Buscemi from earlier, big-eyed Buscemi.
Don't you think you're being a little too cautious?
The mariachi smiles, puts the gun under his pillow, and as he goes back to bed.
One of these days you're going to lay down too hard and that thing's going to blow out your brains.
Shh.
Buscemi darts his head to the easy chair. That pit bull is sleeping.
Sorry, didn't even see the thing.
Tell me the news.
Buscemi waits a moment before saying anything. Should he tell the guy the truth? And then he just spills it.
He's there.
Mariachi lifts his head off the pillow a bit. He did not expect to hear this.
I mentioned his name and they freaked.
The mariachi now sits up. He's letting that sink in. Things take a little bit longer to register this early in the afternoon after a night of bong hits.
They reacted to Butcher's name.
I tell you, he's there. 1 second, they weren't listening to a word I'm saying. Soon as I mentioned his name, boom. They couldn't hear enough. And suddenly they were interested in who you were. So I laid the story down nice and thick.
How thick?
Pretty thick. Told them you were the biggest Mexican I've ever seen.
Have you ever seen Antonio Banderas? He's not the biggest Mexican you've ever
Nope.
seen. The mariachi shakes his head in disbelief.
I was having trouble getting their attention. Okay, I blew it a little out of proportion, but they bought it. They were shitting bricks, I promise you.
I guess I go in.
Yeah, well, personally, I think you should reconsider. There were some very dangerous people in there, and those were just Bucho's watchdogs. Believe me when I say you're committing suicide on this one. Just let it go. This whole thing is just eating you up anyway.
I dreamt about her again.
Buscemi shrugs, man. He tried. He pulls out a paper-wrapped wad of cash and just tosses it to the mariachi.
They'll give you the rest after he's dead.
That's it.
The rest when he's dead. That's what they said.
Why so little up front?
Because you're not going to make it. That's why. That's what I was trying to tell you. They know you're in over your head on this. So why throw away a lot of money up front? I say when your employer doesn't even think you'll make it, you should back out.
It's something I was going to do anyway.
You're not going to make it.
The mariachi is studying his own scarred hand. A deep, nasty scar runs across it. It's healed, but man, not forgotten.
I never expected to.
Then what's the point?
Buscemi shrugs, like, what the fuck?
I swear on her grave, I'd never stop until it was over.
You go through with this, and it'll be, believe me, it will be over quick.
One way or another.
Well, that's it for me. I'm out. You don't expect to live much longer? Fine. I do. Seriously, if you run into trouble on this and you need help, don't call me, okay? Don't call me. Call Campo or Kino. Those guys are crazy anyway.
Buscemi lets himself out the door as he's talking. He points his finger and says one last thing before leaving.
You're in over your head, amigo.
Buscemi slams the door. The mariachi just hangs on those last thoughts. His dog wakes up. The mariachi just watches the dog yawn. And we're going to cut back into the interior of the Tarasco bar. It's daytime. This is the same bar from the opening scene, right? Do you remember? Because I said Tarasco. With the same short bartender, the same robes, in the same seats. They're all creatures of habit. They're, not smart. They're criminals. They're not loyal, regular customers. They work here. That short bartender is over there on the phone.
Bucho! We just talked to Ode Verde Bar in Saragossa. There was no shootout. Everything's normal over there. Did they say there was a guy in there telling the same bullshit story we heard last night? So I guess we can just forget about it?
The exterior of Bucho's ranch. It's daytime, and we see a man on the phone. He's casually dressed, sitting outside chilling, just eating his lunch. We're only going to see him from the back, and the camera's behind him. All we see is the back of his head until the end of the scene. You know, this is Bucho.
You're not going to forget about anything. You're going to keep your eyes open. We can't afford having anyone snooping around, okay? We're being watched enough as it is. Of course, we'll keep a watch out. I'm just saying we can't stop operations just because. Damn, you're not going to stop operating. We keep moving no matter what, okay? Let me know if you hear anything.
Bucho hangs up the phone. He turns to his right hand. That's the actual name of his number one henchman. Right hand.
Right hand.
Yeah. Izquierda mano. Mano izquierda, right?
That's left hand.
Ah, fuck. Second in command. And I even raised my left hand as I said it. Second in command of Bucho's world. Mano
Derecha.
derecha. We see Mano Derecha's face, but not Bucho. His back is still to us.
I want a close lookout on all operations. If that means double and triple checking even our regular customers, we do that.
I'll take care of it.
If someone comes walking in that shouldn't, I want it handled without the place turning into a shooting gallery, okay?
I'll handle it.
I'm trying to show these Colombians that I can handle the extra volume. So we're being watched even as it is. We haven't had any serious trouble from the authorities in a long time. So think about that before you start shooting people.
You got it.
The right hand is walking off to get started on his new orders.
You'd rather just shoot someone, right?
The right hand throws Bucho a sly smile. The camera dollies around. We can see Bucho's face now. And you know what? Hey guys, it's Andy Garcia.
Hello.
Wouldn't we all?
Exterior of the mariachi. And this is a good setup. This is when you're writing a script. Now we've gotten through all the main plot points to know what the setup for the whole story is if you're out there writing a story. Exterior mariachi on the highway day. Mariachi is walking down the road with his guitar in his hand, the jacket over his shoulder, and a pit bull at his side. They look great together, man. It's like a movie poster type thing.
It is not easy being a vigilante. There's no money in it. Really keeps you broke. Being a hitman pays the bills, but you should never mix the two together. Never. And that's where I went wrong.
We've been hearing a truck approaching this whole time, and the mariachi just puts down his case and holds out his thumb. Navaja's truck, is barreling at mariachi.
Of course, if it had been up to me, I'd had stuck to playing music for a living.
The POV of the truck as it passes him.
But it wasn't up to me.
A close-up of Navajas in the passenger seat, eyeing mariachi through his side view mirror. He's Colombiano. Close-up of mariachi's spurred boots. A huge scorpion walks up to his boot, begins to climb over it. The pit bull watches as the scorpion meanders along the mariachi's boot. Does nothing. Fortunately, the scorpion changes his mind and just climbs back down, spinning the spur as it reaches the ground and continues down the road. That's hard to film. The mariachi picks up his guitar case and continues his walk to town. The pit bull finishes relieving himself against the sign, Santa Cecilia, 10 milos, and then trots over to the Mias, join the mariachi.
Had I known what I know now, I'd never have gotten out of bed this afternoon.
Cut to exterior. It's in the town. It's daytime, a wide establishing shot. We've been wanting to see this town. We keep hearing about it. Here it is, Santa Cecilia. The streets are busy. They're not packed. Santa Cecilia is small. It's relatively quiet. Tourism isn't as heavy as in some of the border towns. This is not Tijuana. Now let's go to another, just closer in, like a near street downtown day. Navajas steps out of the truck, which drives away as he walks across the street. He stops at a payphone and pulls several coins from his pocket and drops them in. The camera decides to follow an old man who passes by Navajas. The old man crosses the street. When he reaches the sidewalk, he passes a tourist just buying fruit, because that's what tourists do, or chicle. The camera stays on the fruit buying tourist who can't afford chicle, who then walks down the sidewalk and is accosted by a vendor, a nice old fellow selling necklaces, curios, and jewelry, but no chicle. The tourist tries to get away from the vendor when the camera decides to follow a boy with a guitar strapped around his back, who skips between the tourists and the vendors who don't have chicle. We follow the boy as he wanders towards the Tarasco bar, pushing his way into the door. Someone inside the bar grabs him and shoves him back inside. Smiling, he goes off to find new mischief, because that's what kids do. They get into mischief. There's a whole comic strip called Dennis the Menace. Anyway, it's the whole of the story. And there's a sign outside that says no entrance by anyone under 21. So the kid knew. The kid knew. He could read. Members and non-members only. But he did have a membership card, so it's all very confusing. The camera continues its dolly into the bar. Now we're back inside the Tarasco bar. Remember that little short bartender? He's doing a little cleaning, so you know something's up. Not much, though. Just enough so his area isn't sticky. How did it get sticky? That's another story. A slightly tipsy all-American college girl gets up from one of the tables. I think her name is Karen, and she gets up with her 3 friends. She walks up to the bar. Her friends huddle around Karen. They're tourists.
Excuse me, but I used to work in a bar, so I know what it's like to wait on people and to bring them the drinks they ordered and all that. And I just wanted to bring to your attention that the server here never immediately
The service immediate improvement.
Oh, there we go. The service here needs immediate improvement.
The short bartender is doing a good job of holding in his laughter. He doesn't really give a shit, you know? In fact, he's doing a great job of just almost looking ashamed.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
The rogues are getting some good smirks out of this. They're watching closely for the short bartender's reaction to all this nonsense with this chick.
Our waiter, where is he? Don't tell me he's still in the bathroom.
The short bartender glances at the bathroom door. He settles his eyes back on the girl. I'm not sure that I would want him to serve me if he'd been in the bathroom anyway. 2 men walk in almost unnoticed and sit at the bar. The main one is Pickup Guy. Looks a lot like Quentin Tarantino. The man next to him is Buddy. Bartender's eyes stay on the girl.
Our waiter took our orders, took a long time getting them, and then he never came back to see if we wanted anything else. We did. Nor did he give us a bill. We've been waiting for a bill so we can get the hell out of here.
One of the rogues pulls a gun from under the table and pantomimes shooting the girl for the bartender. The bartender quickly waves that suggestion away.
We should have just taken off, okay? But we didn't.
She puts down several crisp bills.
That should be sufficient. Needless to say, there's won't be much of a tip.
If you're not a little nicer to me, I'm not going to ask you out.
She turns and leads her group of silent followers to the door. Just before Karen disappears forever, she turns back and says something under her breath, just loud enough so it can be heard.
And your beard tastes like piss.
We know!
The room laughs, and the short bartender nods his head in disgust over the abuse that he just took. Pantomimes a stranglehold, and they all just continue laughing.
Hey, bad service, bad beer. Don't people know not to come here?
Speaking of piss, the pickup guy and Buddy are laughing too. Give me a mug of your, full of your finest. They both hand a business card to the short bartender, who looks them over before handing the cards to an assistant. The assistant hurries over to the phone and punches in some numbers. The assistant speaking in the phone quietly, reading the information off the card, and Buddy watches the assistant intently.
This should only take a minute.
Exterior. Mariachi's entering the town. It's day still. There's a horse-drawn carriage taking its time as it trots down the middle of the street, while a huge white Mack truck blasts its horn from right behind him. Just then, from screen left, the mariachi enters the screen with his pit bull at his ankles. They cross in front of this. The dog immediately spots a group of children hanging out on the corner with buckets of water and wet rags. They're alternately running out in the street during red lights to wash car windows for a quarter. The mariachi removes the dog's choke collar and tag and places them in his breast pocket. The pit bull takes that as his cue and then runs across the street to join those children, quenching his thirst in their bucket of water. The children take to him right away, petting him, keeping him in good spirits. Dog is set, okay? The mariachi gives him the chance to kind of scope the town. He sees that pleasant chicleles vendor with the curioso tray walking around the streets from earlier, seeming content, just glad to be alive. He acts like he's selling the cure to cancer, though, rather than just fake gold chains, bolo ties, cheap earrings, and no chicle.
Bolo ties.
The mariachi avoids this cat and sits on the curb across the street from the Tarasco bar. His guitar case right there beside him. He's checking the name of the bar with the one he has scribbled on a piece of paper in his wallet. He discards that piece of paper and then reaches deeper in his wallet, like Costanza big wallet, for a photograph. Close up of the picture of Domino. He studies this picture. He tries to keep his mission clear in his head. Think about what he's doing and why. Confused, he's about to put the picture away when you see a close-up of a small hand reaching for his guitar case. The mariachi spins around, seizes the person's wrist. The mariachi sees that it's just a boy, Nino, about 9 years old, sitting on the curb next to the case.
I want to see the guitar.
Do you play?
Yes.
The mariachi notices the boy has a guitar strapped around his own back.
Do you?
The mariachi sits on that question a bit. He sees a man wearing a straw hat, an ugly patterned burlap sack of a shirt, driving a beat-up green car behind the bar, Tarasco. The straw hat exits the car, takes a box of what seems to be booze through a heavy back door.
A little bit.
Play something.
Not right now.
This is my father's, but he doesn't play anymore.
No?
There's not much work for mariachis these days. Now he just watches TV.
Sorry to hear that.
He was never that good anyway.
The mariachi smiles, and the boy, he's just like a pint-sized version of himself.
Not as good as I'm gonna be. Listen to this.
The boy plucks out a familiar melody. The mariachi keeps an eye on the bar, but listens to the boy with great patience. Bling! Finally.
Loosen your fingers a bit.
The boy, no entiendo, no entiende.
Like this.
The mariachi wiggles his fingers and takes over the strumming while the boy manages the fretboard. The mariachi's fingers dart over the strings in blinding speed and accuracy. The boy is dumbstruck by the brief yet impressive display of true virtuosity.
You know what I mean? Loosen them up.
How did you do that?
He turns his attention back towards the bar. Straw Hat exits that back door empty-handed now and enters the front door of the bar.
If you want to go faster, here's the secret. Practice it.
The mariachi puts the boy's fingers on the strings and shows him how to do a two-finger pick. He then demonstrates the fret positioning. It's a simple concept. Exterior. There's a girl across the street. A young woman of about 26 years of age is walking down the walk on the other side of the street. She's watching the mariachi teach the boy guitar. She continues on her way. Exterior shot of that mariachi just sitting there explaining his lesson.
Practice that every day, all day. Next time I show you how to play a tune using what I learned you. So practice.
The boy gets up and walks away.
Practice.
The boy practices as he walks. The mariachi turns his attention back to the bar, where he sees Straw Hat exiting and driving away in that beat-up old car.
It was a hag.
Yeah, the pleasant expression. But was he wearing the hag? The pleasant expression mariachi had on his face when the boy was here, that shit's gone. Now he's deadly serious and he's back to his mission. We cut to the inside of the Tarasco bar. Back up at the bar, pickup guy is in the middle of a joke while bartender waits for verification. This guy walks into a bar. He goes up to the bartender and he says, I bet you $300 that I can piss in that mug from over here and not spill a drop. The bartender looks over at the mug, which is a good 10 feet away, and says, you're betting me that you can piss in that mug way over there and not spill one drop? Customer says, that's right. The bartender, now he's thinking, this is a good idea. This is a good deal. He asks the customer, and if you spill even one drop, you pay me $300. Customer says, yeah, that's right. So the bartender says, okay, you're on. Now, the whole room is already laughing at this shit. It's an easy crowd. They must have all been drinking. They're drunk. You know, they live in a bar. So the guy, he pulls out his thing, right? And he starts pissing all over the room, all over the bar, misses the mug, doesn't even come close, but he pisses all over the bar. And he even pisses on the bartender. Not a drop, not one drop goes in the mug. So the bartender, he's laughing the whole time. Our guy's pissing all over the bar and says, man, you didn't even come close. You owe me $300, you fucking idiot. Our guy shakes his head slowly and smiles. Yeah, you're right. I owe you some money. Hold on just a second. He walks over to some other characters playing pool, and a few minutes later, he comes back to the bartender and gladly gives the bartender his $300. The bartender asks our guy what he's so happy about. Our guy says, well, see those characters playing pool over there? I bet each one of them $500 that I could piss all over your bar and piss all over you, and you wouldn't even be mad, that you'd be happy about it. And now everyone in the place is losing their shit. Pickup guy feels
so
good.
funny.
The phone rings. Laughter dies. The short bartender grabs the phone. His eyes are fixed on Pickup guy as he hears the news through the phone. And then quiet. The short bartender hangs up the phone, walks over to Pickup guy. He puts a hand under the counter.
Hey, man, you should get a comedy special on like HBO or something. And also, the verdict is in.
Let's see. Los noticios, amigo. Right?
Yeah.
Pickup guy takes a
David
swig
did
of-
is like, oh my
I have to keep on asking David. David's like, I'm not your resident Espanol, man. Pickup guy takes a swig of his beer. Bartender swings around a 45 with a silencer and blows away Buddy. Note, the composition is a two-shot of Pickup guy and Buddy. The bullet crosses in front of Pickup guy and knocks Buddy off his chair. Pickup guy freezes. Still has a mouthful of beer. Pickup guy freezes. It says a mouthful of beer and his puffed up cheeks.
Don't worry. You checked out just fine.
Short bartender lowers the grunt. Everyone gets a good laugh. Even the Pickup guy gets a good laugh and manages to swallow his boo. See, now I dropped the R. He seems to be adjusting his shorts. Oh, me. I knew I'd check out. I've done business with Bucho before. Pickup guy gets up, casually glances over at Buddy being attended to, like they're making stew. I just met this guy.
Go on in. We'll take care of him.
They're making stew. That's not the guy's name. They're making stew. Bartender motions towards the bathroom and Pickup guy nods a thank you and takes the cue. Buddy's body is dragged out back to the kitchen. Interior, inside bathroom day. Pickup guy enters the bathroom and wipes the sweat from his face in a cloudy mirror before checking out the 3 stalls. The last stall has an out of order sign on it. He opens the door and steps into what's left of the toilet bowl. It's almost completely covered with someone's lunch and yesterday's dinner. That's one of the grossest shots I've ever seen, by the way. Pickup guy grimaces at the overwhelming stench. Pickup guy taps the flusher with his foot. As the toilet flushes, the commode moves forward, and the wall behind it moves with it, kind of like Batman in the library, but much shittier. Not much, but just enough to let someone slip in behind it. Pickup guy looks around suspiciously before ducking into the crack, no pun intended, and the wall closes behind him. Cut to exterior is a trio of mariachis. It's daytime. This trio of mariachis is walking up the street. Mariachi sees this and stands. The mariachi, his eyes never leaving the Tarasco bar, walks into a smaller bar right behind him. Interior, mariachi finds a seat.
Beer. Soda pop.
Bartender gives him a second look over before finding the soda. Interior, the mariachi group enters the bar. The trio of mariachis enter as the bartender laughs and invites them in. The camera's on the mariachi the whole time. We hear the bartenders laugh and see his hand waving, inviting in the trio, who walk past the mariachi in their sequined clothing. The camera is still on the mariachi, who passively glances over his shoulder at these fancy duds. The bartender puts a drink down and the mariachi pays for it because he doesn't steal shit. He kills people. We hear the off-screen trio of mariachis asking other patrons if they want to buy a song. We hear someone requesting Malajeña. They begin to play as the mariachi drinks his drink. The camera closes in slowly on the mariachi, who is thinking about the girl. The song reminds him of Domino. So we dissolve to a flashback and get us some Domino. The mariachi's scenes with Domino, him at the ranch, holding up her dead body, his hand getting shot by Moco, thus no playing. Mariachi at the gravesite of Domino, the slab of a tombstone. If you look really close, it looks like Domino. She had kind of a rock head, faded dots and all. Back to mariachi. The mariachi is starting to mouth the words of the song. He stands and walks over to join that band, the trio of mariachis. He stands beside them singing. The camera pulls back and we see him standing alongside that trio. He glances over to them and realizes, wait a minute, they're not Mexican. Japonesa. They're Japanese. They smile at him as they sing their song. He looks at the back of their jackets and sees the embroidered name, Los Japoneses. He notices that the audience is captivated by this novelty act, and he turns and exits the building.
Yeah, that
Exterior.
was not in the movie at all.
Was it not? I didn't remember
the
that.
Japanese, the Japanese people were not in the movie.
Yeah.
No. The first part of the two, him getting shot and him showing Omoko shooting his Domino. I didn't even know Domino was her name.
No,
he never said her name in the whole movie.
No, but I think in El Mariachi they do. I think that's her name in El Mariachi. Yeah. But Japanese people are real and they do sing.
Well, and we're continuing. Jeez, Bobby.
Exterior, mariachi on the sidewalk day. The song Malajeña is still playing. Mariachi stares at the Tarasco bar. I was just trying to be socially relevant. He takes out an unusual comb. Everything that the mariachi owns, as you may expect, is a little unusual. He combs his hair with his unusual hair with his unusual comb, as if he's on his way to a job interview, an unusual job interview even. He fixes his unusual jacket. He studies the unusual comb. Obviously a gift from someone. Unusual. Sentimental value firmly attached. The mariachi tosses the comb into the street. Man, not much sentimental value to that strange comb. He doesn't expect to come out of this alive and doesn't really seem to care if he ever combs his hair again or not. He picks up his guitar, casually does the sign of the cross, and strides across the street towards the Tarasco bar in slow motion as the song continues towards its crescendo. We see the determination rising in his face. In a single take, shot, the camera is dollying. Say one or the other, okay? Let's not put both those there like that. Mm-hmm. In a single take shot, the camera is dollying back with the mariachi in slow motion, and as the song hits and then holds the high note for what seems an eternity, and the speed returns to normal as the mariachi strides to the bar, the high note holding as he pushes the door open. We cut to inside the Tarasco bar. It's day. The mariachi, I've heard that I'm a poor singer, and I don't believe it. Mariachi pushes open the door, and as the door hits the wall, the high note, cuts off, actually. All is silent. He stands at the door for a lost moment, scoping out the room. The short bartender sees him and notices the guitar case. He looks from the case to the mariachi's face several times. The mariachi begins his walk towards the bar. The other rogues notice the case too, and they follow the mariachi with their eyes as he walks past them to the counter.
You look unusual. What do you want?
The mariachi stops in his tracks. He's in the middle of the room. The short bartender seems uneasy and strangely cautious.
I'm looking for work. There's no work here.
The bartender's suspicious eyes are rapidly darting between the schizophrenic mariachi and the guitar case he's carrying.
Is there something to drink? Is there something in the case?
Beat, ba beat, ba beat, The beat, beat, beat. Verbal
My
standoff.
My guitar. I'm a musician.
The mariachi is laying the guitar case on the floor.
Are you sure you don't want to hear me play before you say there's no work?
The mariachi quits arguing with himself for a second. Before he can open the first latch, he has 2 guns pointed at his head.
Get away from that case, man! We just want to take a look inside. If it's what you say it is, you can drink all you want. I told you, I'm a musician. This is my guitar.
The mariachi unsnaps one of the latches.
Leave it alone! Get him away from that case!
The mariachi is violently jerked up into standing position. He raises his hands halfway. One rogue has a gun at his temple. The other rogue is opening that guitar case. The short bartender seems to be at his wit's end.
Careful with that. It's an heirloom. What is it? It's old.
The case opener unsnaps another latch, and now all eyes are on the case. We're focusing, except for the rogue with the gun to the mariachi's temple. He's staring coldly into the mariachi's eyes, studying him.
Hurry it up!
That last latch dramatically unsnaps. The case lid is opening. The mariachi's eyes quickly search the room. The short bartender is leaning over the bar, straining to see, and the case opener turns to the short bartender and says,
It's a guitar.
wah, wah, wah. Short bartender gets a clear view of the case. So do we. It's a guitar. What was everybody so fucking scared about? The rogue with the gun is pointed at the mariachi's head, looks to the short bartender for further instructions. The short bartender motions, just let him go. The rogue lowers his gun and begins to walk over back to his seat. The mariachi takes a deep, nerve-calming breath as the fake guitar top silently begins to rise up on its hinges, creaking, slowly revealing an arsenal of weaponry beneath it. No one except old mariachi sees this happen.
Hey, I'm sorry, but we've heard all these stories about these bastards that be running around with a guitar case full of guns, you know? We just have to make sure.
Mariachi takes another cleansing deep breath. We slide into slow motion, and the case opener returns to close the case. Now he sees those weapons that just kind of magically appear before him.
It's him.
Mariachi raises his hands the full distance. The countdown begins. The rogue that had a gun on the mariachi turns and sees the weapon in the case. He throws mariachi a cold, hard stare. The case opener pushes the case farther away from the mariachi. The short bartender sees those weapons.
Shoot him!
The mariachi's arms are still up. The rogue, staring coldly at the mariachi, reaches for his gun. A low click release sound is audible as 245s shoot up from the mariachi's sleeves and into his waiting hands, taxi driver style. Mariachi levels his guns at the rogue. The rogue levels his guns at the mariachi. The mariachi desperately fires both pistols. The rogue's whole
bang.
body snaps backwards, the heavy slugs dropping him to the floor with a loud crash.
Bang, bang.
Jumped by the case opener. Mariachi quickly flips to the ground, keeping a firm grip on his shirt collar. He has a gun barrel shoved under the case opener's throat. The short bartender ducks behind the counter because he wants to live. The mariachi looks up to see all the other seated rogues leaping to their feet, pulling heavy artillery from under the table. This is the way I wanted the scene to go in our movie. The sight played out in a ballet type slow motion is horrifying display by an impossible force for one man to go up against. There's just too damned many armed men, and they're all opening fire. The mariachi, though, doesn't give a shit. He jerks open the case opener to his feet real quickly so that the case opener is being shot by his own men. He's like a shield. The mariachi leaps to his feet, sliding the case across the floor with it to the other side of the counter where he can take cover. The case opener, the shield, falls to the ground lifeless. Some rogues shoot everything in fear of turning out dead, while others start around the corner on a search and destroy mission. The short bartender, holding his ground, crouched low, practically kissing the floor. He's a pussy. The interior, inside the hidden room, day. The pickup guy in there hears the gunshots out in the bar. The Quentin Tarantino guy, he hears all that, as do the men packing a suitcase with money. The walls in here are covered with all sorts of strange looking military weaponry. One of the money packagers, we call him Money Man number 1. He darts toward the secret wall with an oversized assault weapon.
Don't let him out of your sight.
What the hell's going on? Money Man number 1 leaves through the secret door and waits in the bathroom for the right time to exit into the main bar room. He's in no hurry to join this shit.
Amigos tuyos?
I swear, I have no idea what's going on out there. Money Man number 2 fires a round into pickup guy's head.
He dead.
Goodbye, Quentin.
He dead.
We knew you well. Cut to the barroom gun brawl.
Didn't even get to see his feet.
Never saw his feet. Mariachi blasts over the counter and crouches and crawls. Well, that's because Quentin Tarantino, he's not an equal opportunity foot fetishist. But anyway, it's a whole other thing. He meets up with the search and destroy guy, and he exchanges gunfire with them until they're dead. Some of the rogues are climbing on tables, trying to peer over the counter as they fire away, hoping to hit something. The short bartender crouches into a tighter ball. He's a little pussy. He's broken bottles and glass are just falling all around him. The mariachi rises up from behind the counter and picks off easy pigeons, man, that are perched along the tables. His guns click empty as 2 men from under a table bolt up, blasting at him. The mariachi dives, he's not stupid, into the bartender's pit, like, because he sees him over there living, and bullets licking his heels. The short bartender sees the mariachi fall. The mariachi, his eyes on short bartender, says, maybe another shield. He shuffles to his feet and charges at him. The bartender ducks his head. The mariachi uses the short bartender not as a shield, but as a stepladder, bouncing off of his back and leaping over the far side of the counter as bullets are spraying around him from behind. The mariachi hits the ground, tumbling as the camera glides across the floor, along with him, as he rolls to his destination, which is the guitar case. He drops in his empty clips, grabs 2 fresh ones. Rising just as quickly, he returns fire at the 2 guys, one of which ducks and crawls around the corner. The other, whose gun is empty, leaps atop the counter and onto mariachi, and both of these guys crash to the ground. Mariachi's feet, there's the feet, catch the guy but not Quentin's, at the guy's chest, and weight brings his legs down to a springboard position ready to launch. The rogue tries to slice mariachi's face with a boot knife. That's the only kind of knife you really want to use. Mariachi catapults the rogue into the air. Rogue's knife swipe barely misses the mariachi's face. The rogue flies backwards through the air. The mariachi, rising from the ground, blasts heavy rounds at the airborne rogue, who sports 10 lethal bullet wounds before he ever hits the ground. It's like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, he definitely got it 10. The worst. I think he got it 10, the worst.
Right? Yeah, he's like flying and getting hit.
I think he's.
They call his. I think his name is actually Swiss cheese. Mariachi spins around to track the other rogue, who's still crawling the perimeter of the counter, taking his time, and because that cat, like the bartender, is in no hurry to die, otherwise known as a pussy. All is quiet. Mariachi uses his ears to survey the whereabouts of the rogue. The bartender is quiet. A few tinkles of glass can be heard on the other side of the counter. The mariachi approximates the rogue's whereabouts, kind of like looking, where is he, and aims his gun at an overhead ceiling fan. Blast the ceiling around the fan until the ceiling breaks apart from the impact of the bullets. The fan drops onto the hiding rogue just as the rogue was coming up for his last shot. Boom. How you like that shit? The still turning fan blades beat the hell out of the rogue as he crumbles to the floor. The blades pound the guy all the way to the ground. The mariachi rounds the counter, one gun aiming at the ground, the other held out in front of him as the camera follows low and close. I love the way that's written, all that. As the fan dies down, it continues to pummel the bad guy every few seconds. The mariachi sees this and stops the fan with a few bullet hits to the motor. The fan dies. Oh, poor fan.
He got it the best. He's still alive, by the way. Out of everybody in that bar, he's the only one alive. He's gonna go home and say, "I'm not working for these people anymore. I don't have any insurance. Forget this shit."
Bloody and bruised, but alive. And that's the way you want to be at the end of the day. Bloody and bruised, whether you're alive or not. Wow. The bartender is imagining the worst. He has his eye on his gun, which is probably very uncomfortable, which is a few feet away, especially if it's a few feet away, under the counter. Before he can make a decision on what to do, a gun barrel lowers to his head.
Get up.
He does.
I'm sorry about all of this. But I've heard stories of people that can run drunks from their bars
The short bartender backs up against the counter.
for a man named Pucho.
Gulp.
And you're going to tell me where I can find him.
The short bartender can't believe what's happening. It's as if this bullshit story he heard earlier was just like some kind of premonition of things to come. The mariachi has his back to the bathroom, that terrible bathroom. Inside of that bathroom, the man that left the hidden money room, the guy we were calling Money Man number 1, he's leaning against the bathroom wall with his ear to the door. He's like eavesdropping. He has which is rude, first of all. He has the oversized assault weapon, which is dangerous. He has the oversized assault weapon near his sweaty face, which is gross. This guy's got bad habits. He looks incompetent enough. Clearly, right? The mariachi has his gun on the short bartender who's about to write information down for him.
Where is he? How many men does he have around him? Phone numbers. I want you to hurry up.
The door
The
creaks.
phone.
Yeah. Answer that phone, bartender. The door creaks and the mariachi swings his gun toward the door. Old Money Man number 1 leaps out of the bathroom. The mariachi runs along one side of the bar and Money Man runs along the other side. They are blasting across the counter as they run. I think you saw this in the commercials. When a partition temporarily obscures them from each other's view, mariachi dives atop the smooth surface of the counter, sliding towards the old Money Man who's reaching the end of the counter. Money Man skids to a slow motion stop. Mariachi slides to a slow motion stop too. He ain't going to be outdone. Each man ends up 2 feet away from the other with their guns pointed at their faces. Money Man fires, click, empty. Mariachi fires, click, just as empty. The bartender appears from behind Mariachi with his 45. Remember the whole thing about if you're a bartender, you don't want to pull out a gun? Mariachi sees him in time to roll off the counter as Money Man is blown away. Bartender reacts at having shot his own man and then sees Mariachi's hand gently pulling the guitar case into the shadows. Bartender backs away, holding his gun loosely in his sweaty hands. He's tense. He has every right to be. Mariachi rises abruptly, his gun fixed on the short bartender.
You helped me, and I won't kill you.
The bartender raises the gun and shoves it to his temple. Mariachi can't do anything from here.
Wait.
Bango tango, it's too late. The mariachi pounds the counter furiously. He never wins. He surveys the room full of corpses. Damn it.
Now what?
He grabs a paper napkin, a sevilla, and scribbles onto it. Serviette. And he lays it on one of the dead rogues in the middle of the room. He grabs his case and walks out. And we cut to the exterior outside behind that bar, daytime. The heavy door behind the bar opens. Good old Money Man who shot the pickup guy sneaks out. His name, by the way, it's not Money Man. It's Tavo. And Tavo watches as Mariacho crosses the street. Tavo follows Mariacho at a safe distance. Mariachi continues along at a brisk pace. He glances about, looking for anyone that might be a nuisance. Tavo keeps a safe distance for a few blocks, then he closes the gap. The young woman we saw earlier is buying some fruit at a stand. She takes her bag and walks on. This is Carolina, one of the most beautiful women on the entire planet. Mariachi is walking right towards her. They are 3 blocks away from each other. Tavo is 1 block behind Mariachi. His eyes are squinting. He doesn't have sunglasses, and he's trying to break from the sunlight so he can get a good shot in. Mariachi must think he's home free because he's not glancing around anymore. He all thinking about getting him some. His eyes are fixed on what this distance appears to be a beautiful young woman about 2 blocks away and closing. Tavo, he ain't thinking about pussy. He's got his gun out. He takes a gun from his shirt. He lets it hang at his side. His fingers dance across the grip, feeling the weight, adjusting his eyes to the sun, sunglasses, squinting, all that. He tries to find his moment. He picks up the pace, gets closer. Mariachi sees the chick coming toward him, but he starts hallucinating that it's Domino. He doesn't see Carolina. He doesn't see Salma Hayek. He sees the chick from the previous movie. She seems to be walking toward him. And so Carolina wonders why this man in a mariachi suit is staring her up and down. She's like, bro, me too. Hashtag me too. And so he's looking at her so intently and she's like, whatever. And she brushes her hair with her hand like this, beautiful chick style. Tavo pulls a second gun from behind his waist. He ain't playing. He walks with the guns at his sides. His fingers tickle the triggers because he's a tickler and the guns are ticklish. He's waiting for the right moment. He starts to jog because he's trying to get in shape. He's not just an empty murderer. The mariachi's eyes are fixed on the girl. His heart is pounding. Though in his eyes, he's still tripping out. He's seeing Domino. Tavo, jogging, trying to get in shape for the marathon, raises his guns. Both barrels aimed at Mariachi's back. Tavo doesn't want to take a chance firing at this distance, and he's still wanting to get in shape for that marathon, so he keeps on running, and he gets closer as he can. And we realize that he's just as incompetent as the other money packager, and that's probably why they worked in the shitter, okay? The guns are barreling towards Mariachi full speed from a jogging Tavo, who's trying to shake as little as possible while he's thinking about killing this cat and getting all warmed up for the marathon. But at this point, there's really no going back on the murder side of this practice session. Carolina is seeing the idiot Tavo with his jogging marathon practice running up. She sees that shit. She sees the guns and she just starts screaming. Now she's not so freaked out by Creeper staring at her as he walks up. She's more concerned about the dude behind Creeper with the guns. And she's like screaming and saying, what the fuck, man? What kind of day am I having? You know? The mariachi leaps atop Carolina because he wants to get some. You know, he just dives right on her. He pulls her to the ground. He's like, what's up, girl? And he's shielding her with his body from the gun blast that take a good sized chunk of flesh from his upper arm while he's trying to seduce this woman on the street. Tavo trips over them and crashes to the ground. Carolina, being seduced, turns her head in time to see Tavo aiming a gun right at her. She's splitting her attention from the mariachi seducing her and Tavo pushing the gun at her. The gun fires and a large piece of concrete bursts up a foot away from Carolina's face. This is not conducive to seduction, okay? It's not, these don't go together. So mariachi's struggling with the gunman now. It's like splitting your attention. It's hard to seduce when you got to fight with somebody trying to murder you. The barrels alternating between aiming at the mariachi and aiming at Tavo. It's like, well, we're going to kill each other, right? I'm trying to get some and you're bugging me, bro. Get out of here. Finally, the mariachi delivers a devastating headbutt to Tavo that temporarily stuns them both. And he's thinking, maybe it wasn't such a good idea. I don't know if this is going to help me get any from this chick I just met either, because now my head's ringing. The mariachi shoves the pistols under Tavo's chin and just says, look, I got to get some. So he kills this cat. He pulls the trigger, blows the guy's head off. Now back to the seduction. Mariachi staggers to his feet, and then he falls into Carolina's arm. This is all a tactic. Blood pouring from his arm. Tactic. Carolina is looking for someone that can help. Not on this street. She puts the mariachi's arm over her and helps him walk away. Guys, quick note. When you want to seduce a woman you've never met before, there is nothing on earth that'll work better than getting shot in front of her without any help nearby. That works.
Word.
Mariachi.
Oh. I can't go to the hospital.
The mariachi grabs the case with his good arm and off they go. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get some now. Tavo's
Take
body.
a strong hand.
It's hard to seduce at the hospital, by the way. That's note number 2 on the seduction by getting shot thing.
Okay.
Avoid the hospital. They walk on the hot sidewalk. Now we're outside. Navajas checks out the bar. It's daytime. Navajas is under the awning of a curioso shop where they do not sell chicle.
Mm-hmm.
Hayes is fixed on the commotion across the street at the Tarasco bar. He sees a group of men guarding it from the outside. He sees another group of men enter the bar. Navajas walks over to a public phone, drops in a few quarters. This guy is prepared. He keeps a pocket full of change. We cut to interior of the Tarasco bar. It's daytime. There's a low angle tracking shot. You used to have to do that before cell phones. You had to keep a pocket full of change all the time, especially if you were a murderer. Make a beeline through the strewn bodies across the Tarasco bar floor. The booted feet we've been tracking stop at the body in the middle of the room. The body with the note left on it. Remember the note? A hand enters the frame and picks up the note that was left by Desperado El Mariachi earlier. We follow the hand from the note up to a visibly upset, you got it, Bucho. Mr. Derecha comes up behind Bucho and says,
I said I did not want to turn this place into a shooting gallery.
All the money is still in the back. The pickup guy is laying on the ground with a bullet in his head. Tavo must have shot him.
Where is Tavo?
He's not back there.
Tavo's out on the street, about 5 blocks north.
Tell him to get his ass here. I want to know what happened.
Está muerto, jefe. Butcher shrugs. The right hand releases one of those ill-timed, uncontrollable short bursts of a laugh.
What's so fucking funny?
As quickly as the laughing came, it went away. Boss is pissed.
I'm sorry. One of those stupid things that just struck me funny, I guess.
It's not funny.
I know that. Whoever didn't come for the money, it wasn't a cop.
Bucho reads the note, and then he hands it to the right-hand man.
It was him.
Close up of that handwritten note. It says, "Dear El Bucho, are you next? Circle 1. Yes or no? Love, El Mariachi."
God.
Throwback.
Or maybe. We didn't put maybe. It's just
Yeah, or maybe, yeah. It says, Dear Bucho, are you next? Circle 1, please. Yes, no, maybe. Love, El Mariachi. Right hand, though, he didn't grow up in American schools, so he doesn't get it.
Right. It's that crazy bastard that killed Mauricio a few years back. Some half-ass musician that carries a guitar case full of weapons. He goes from town to town asking questions, killing guys like me. I don't need this. I really don't need this.
A few teenagers, turistas, storm into the bar. They're laughing and playing, a bunch of Karens and Kens, looking for good times and cheap booze. They see the carnage strewn about the bar, and, they get real quiet.
Can't you see that we're fucking closed?
The teenagers?
No.
Wow. They back out slowly, their eyes glued to like the dead bodies and stuff, and they're like green faced by the time the door closes on them.
Somebody lock the door.
There has to be something else to this. Why would he come here looking for you?
I set Mauricio up in a small town. Crazy, greedy bastard. He killed the musician's girlfriend and shot his hand off. Figure this musician who already offed Mauricio is either seeking revenge or maybe he's got nothing better to do. I don't know.
A murder hobbyist. Wider shot of the corpse-filled room. The right hand surveys the room.
Switch our pickups to La Azteca. We can't shut down or our boys will get suspicious.
But we have to tell them about this.
Listen to me.
I don't know, Bucho.
We've got to find this guy and get rid of him quietly. We've got to do it before they hear about this, or that is it for us. We'll need everyone on the lookout for this guy.
If he's left town?
He knows I'm here. Now, he's not going anywhere.
He crushes the note without circling an answer. And Bucho lets the crumpled note fall from his hand. It falls perfectly onto the gaping mouth of the corpse at Bucho's feet. 2 points. Now the interior of Carolina's bookstore. Kobe! Extreme close-up of a slab of ice. Sunlight filters through it, illuminating the thin lines of blood that drip down it. The mariachi holds the jagged chunk of ice against his forehead. He's lying on the countertop, feeling the effects of heavy painkillers.
What the hell did you give me?
Painkillers. I'm operating. Yeah.
Where am I?
A bookstore.
Catalina is digging deep into his arm with sharp tweezers, much better than dull tweezers in a job like this, and the blood-soaked cloth.
It's a bookstore cafe.
The mariachi is too groggy to notice Carolina is taking his arm apart, looking for the slug.
What is everybody?
Carolina motions to the door. The mariachi follows her gaze and sees that the closed cerrado sign is up.
I closed early, so no one would come around. Actually, no one would be coming around here anyway.
Where's that?
And nobody reads.
Verdad, eso. He grunts slightly from the digging. The painkillers are wearing off. Mariachi looks around. The ceiling is high, and the books climb all the way up to the ceiling. Unusual, bizarre. How is anyone supposed to get up there?
Is it yours?
It's mine. The building's mine too. I've got an apartment upstairs and a coffee shop through that door.
Where a bookstore?
She thinks she's found a bullet at this point. She's like pulling it up to the light to inspect it. Nope, just another chunk of the guy's arm. She tosses the meat aside and just continues digging around in there.
This town's never had a bookstore. At least not since I've come around. Can't remember.
She wipes her hands a little bit. She pours out some hot water on the rag from a coffee pot.
Parents passed away, left me this building and some money. Anyway, there were no bookstores. So I got this bright idea.
Do you know what you are doing?
She lifts up a medical book. Haha, bookstore, see? And she turns to the page of the operation that she's following.
Why a bookstore?
Mariachi lets that sink in, and Carolina works busily on his arm. She eyes the guitar case.
You wouldn't find work in this town.
What?
She points to the case.
Your guitar. No one hires musicians around here.
I know. I use it to pick up girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ouch.
Sorry.
The camera is on his face, which is wincing in silent pain. Beads of sweat slide down his skin. This is where the girls start getting interested in this movie. Carolina's hands enter the frame holding the pair of tweezers. Grasped firmly by the tweezers is a bloody slug. She found it.
Check it out. This one had your name on it.
You don't even know my name.
She opens a fresh pack of cigarettes and lights one up.
You're right. I don't know your name.
She starts smoking.
Are you a smoker?
Nope.
She shoves the cigarette deep into the bullet wound.
Ay, cabron!
Mariachi grits his teeth and screams internally. Internally?
Oh,
Sounds like a long grunt to us, like pooping.
Thanks.
The least I could do after saving my life.
She lifts a big threaded needle into the frame.
Let's stitch it up.
Mariachi looks deep into the slab of ice that melts in his bare hand. There's a bug frozen in it. We hear the needle pulling and tugging at his skin. The mariachi is drifting further away. We cut to Bucho's ranch. It's daytime. There's one ostrich chasing another around their run. Bucho is back at the ranch. He walks by his herd of ostriches with Right Hand, who's trying to talk to him.
If it's the guitarist we're looking after, he may not be alone.
What are you talking about?
Some of the men have been telling me stories about this guy. He's usually travels with a group of hired guns that causes a lot of damage. Maybe we should cut down on pickups until we quiet this down.
We can handle ourselves. You will handle this. I do not want anyone to know we have this problem. What? Do I have to do everything myself?
What are you talking about? I'll handle it.
Damn right you will handle it. Where's my car? Is it finished yet? How long do I have to wait for this? I could have built the damn thing myself by now.
I didn't like it, so I sent it back to get a few things worked out.
You saw it, and you didn't tell me.
It needed work. I promised you, you wouldn't have to be happy without it. It'll be better now.
I want my car, and I want that bastard taken care of.
Forget about it. I'll take care of it.
A ranch hand passes a couple of ostrich eggs to Bucho. They are huge.
You need to stop going to trip to Italy because I don't like this. Forget about it, okay? See this. You need huevos like these to work for me. Or I have no use for you at all.
Can you imagine the pants that these guys would have to wear? Right hand walks off. Bucho hands the eggs back to the ranch hand.
Go make me an omelet.
We cut to inside where the mariachi and a boy are. Let's see, what are they doing? Mariachi's checking out his stitch job.
if I just look closer at her dress, I'd have noticed that she sews crooked to lit now.
That's a good line. He looks out the window and sees the boy practicing guitar as he crosses the street. That kid almost gets hit by a truck in the process. Mariachi reaches out to warn him, even though the kid can't hear him or see him. The truck skids to a stop and blasts the horn at the kid. After the scare, goes back to practicing. A car in the other lane screeches to a stop as well. Again, he's almost hit. This kid is hope he never gets a cell phone. Yeah. Mariachi tries to follow this kid by running to the other room where he opens the window, looks around, and then calls out to the boy.
Hey, kid, get over here.
I've been practicing. Listen to this.
Get over here before you get run over. Oh,
No.
I'm sorry. Get over here before you get run down. I'll teach you a song that I wrote.
It's called. Another car just misses the kid and hits the curb.
Ay, ay, ay.
Mariachi almost has a heart attack.
Jeez.
You wrote a song? Was it about a car?
I
In
was
cars.
inspired.
Dun, 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 dun.
Carolina, huh? Hold on.
Yes, I was inspired, but definitely not by you almost getting run over again.
Oh.
Be safe. The boy walks around the building and knocks on the front door. Carolina unlocks it and turns the close sign over so it reads "Open" from "Abierto" from the outside.
Hi. You're finally going to read some books, huh? No. I'm finally going to get my guitar lessons.
The mariachi enters the room, suspecting that the boy and the woman are related.
You're touring now?
I'm a musician.
What's the song you were going to teach me?
Play what I showed you.
The boy plays the keys the mariachi taught him previously. He's improved quite a bit.
That's what he learned.
Carolina is watching them. He's like, hey, that'd be good for a movie.
Okay, first, I have no idea how you get a whistle sound from a guitar, but instead of this note, play these three here.
Mariachi simply points the strings to the play and he hums along.
And these four here. Practice those. It's the order that you play them that makes the song. You've got to keep up the order straight.
What's going on?
I told you they're related.
They both have lisps. What's going on?
He asked me to help him. I've got to help him, right?
Where does this go?
We hope that he's pointing at his guitar still. Mariachi shows him the fingerings.
He is my little brother. Isn't that right, Mimito?
Manito. That's
Manito.
Right. That's
Mojito?
right.
Mojito?
Mojito.
Is it all right, Manito, as we drink mojitos?
Mariachi shows him the last notes.
Don't forget, those there. Good. Now practice that. That's all.
When do I get my next lesson?
After you perfected that. And remember, that's my song. If anyone asks you, you tell them I wrote it.
It's called Beethoven's Fifth.
As
the boy walks to the door, it hits him.
And who do I say you are?
The mariachi gives it a few seconds of thought. And Carolina, she's curious too. She's going to bang this dude. She looks at the mariachi.
I'm your older brother, remember?
That's right. I have I have Alzheimer's. I forgot.
Aye, Mamito, you must have the Benjamin Button. Practice.
I'll practice. Hopefully I won't forget.
Get to Kennedy Hall. I'll tell you what. I'll leave my jacket and my guitar here. I'll go out, make a few calls, make my plans, and I'll come back for things. And then I'll leave.
Aren't you going to tell me what's going on?
Still charmed, she takes a key off of her keyring and hands it to him. That was quick.
No.
He leaves. She locks the door. After he's long gone, she flips the close sign over. I mean, she did give that key up really quick, though, if you think about it. Let's like, here, move in. I just took a bullet out of you. Let's be together forever.
Well, this was like 4 days later, no?
Well, yeah, I guess, but still, it's still pretty damn quick. After he's
It's
long
the
gone,
hair. Everybody
True.
loves the hair.
They're attractive. Attractive people belong together. And the rest of us belong together as well. After he's long gone, she flips the close sign over so it reads open from the outside. She's about to walk away, but she comes back to take another glance out the window. I want to hang out with the beautiful people. She checks out on the street. Continued, she flips the sign back over to closed and she walks away. So we're going to cut to the interior of the Tarasco bar. Some of Bucho's henchmen are trying to clean the mess in the bar. It's a damn abattoir. That means place of dead things. They've cleared the bodies out already and are now trying to clean up pools of spilled blood. Delicious. It's like blood pudding in the floor. Close up of a wet mop slowly being lifted out of a bucket. The mop, dripping red water, sloshes along the floor. It doesn't soak up blood so much as just kind of smear it around. They're thinking about painting the floor, in fact. The mood is just creepy. The door creaks open. The henchmen turn to see who it is, and it's Navajas standing at the entrance, staring at them like some kind of lifeless statue. It's a habit of his. It's very creepy. We're closed. Navaja stands motionless. He looks dead. Go on, get out of here. A few seconds pass. One henchman puts his mop down, but before he can do anything, Navajas has turned around and is walking out the door. So we're going to cut to exterior. Mariachi entering the church in the daytime. Mariachi, yeah. In the downtown. Mariachi walks about the town. That's a good line too. Mariachi walks about the town without his jacket and his guitar. He walks up a grand staircase, grandly considering the condition of the rest of the dilapidated town. He enters the church. The interior of that church, we have a priest, which is a good place for a priest. You don't want them around your children. A priest passes him by and goes into the confessional booth. Mariachi decides to sit in one of the pews. After a few moments of silent prayer, he approaches the confessional. He glances around and then he goes in.
Bless me, Father, for I have killed a bunch of drug dealers.
No shit. Here, I got a little donation for you.
Through the confessional window, Buscemi hands the mariachi a bundle of money.
That's the rest of your advance. They were impressed with what you did at the Tarasco bar.
I was lucky. What makes you think I'll stay lucky, huh?
They know you want him dead as much as they do. Look, be happy. If nothing else, think of this going away present. See you around, maybe.
Buscemi leaves the confessional and the movie, I think.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Mariachi sits there. I couldn't remember. I'm wanting to watch this again, man. It's fun reading it. Buscemi leaves the confessional. Mariachi sits there a bit, thinking. When he decides to leave, he's a bit startled as he bumps into a man in black. Mariachi has his hand in his jacket before realizing who it is, ready to check out with guns blazing. This man in black, however, it's a real priest. And he says, I'm sorry. Did you want to make confession? The mariachi thinks.
Yeah, maybe I better wait a little longer because I'm on my way to do something not so good and I have to come right back anyway.
Bueno. Exterior, out on the street, day. Mariachi exits the church, stashing money in his coat.
I should have never taken money as a hitman for something I was going to do anyway as a vigilante. It screws up your loyalties.
He scopes out the town courtyard and sees the man in the straw hat. Remember him? He's walking briskly from the alley near the church. The mariachi squints his eyes. Nobody in this town can afford sunglasses. He's trying to remember where he saw this man before. We see a flashback of the scene earlier in the movie when Mr. Straw Hat entered the Tarasco bar with a package and left empty-handed. Remember? I just asked you to remember, and that's what I was asking you remembered about.
I remember.
Mariachi decides to follow him. Straw Hat is walking towards the same beat-up green car that Sam Raimi owns and puts in all his movies.
If his father remembers.
About a block away. Mariachi tries to stay back a bit so as not to make Straw Hat suspicious. Straw Hat must have sensed him with his ESP powers. Because right away, we see these lines coming away from his head, cartoon style. He stops dead in his tracks. He stares at the mariachi. The mariachi stops and stares back, but does not have psychic powers. It's like a standoff. Straw Hat turns and continues walking. He passes the beat up Raimi car and puts his keys back in his pocket because Nate wanted to steal that shit, right? Mariachi picks up speed. Straw Hat starts to run. Mariachi's like, no way, I'm going to chase you. And he does. So exterior of a street corner, daytime, Straw Hat bolting around a corner, barely avoiding a group of children, mind you. He don't care. He'll run them down. They're sitting on the ground counting money that they've been earning washing the car windows. Remember that from earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Pitbull is with them, and he throws a few cautionary barks at Straw Hat. Remember Pitbull?
Bark.
Straw Hat tumbles into oncoming traffic. Remember traffic?
Oh no.
They had a great song in the 60s. Bouncing over a few car hoods on his way to the other side of the street. Mariachi turns the corner and long jumps like an Olympic athlete. This group of children landing on a parked car. Remember the parked car? And from there, falling butt backwards onto a moving vehicle, which sends him crashing back onto the sidewalk. Anybody?
I remember the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you. Mariachi picks himself up and bolts down the sidewalk after Straw Hat. Remember him? Pitbull darts after him. Pitbull darts after them. The children are concerned with their new dog's welfare. Remember welfare? And watch him bolts down the street after Mariachi and his prey. Straw Hat is running down the sidewalk on the other side of the street. Remember the street? Mariachi is keeping a close eye on him as he dodges pedestrians and street vendors. Remember, do you know what they don't have?
What? Oh, chicles.
Navajas.
Remember?
This is like a test. I'm quit. I'm not taking any tests. Navajas is on a payphone when he sees Straw Hat tear past him. Navajas calls him out by name, no longer just Straw Hat. Sardina!
That's wrong.
Straw Hat doesn't hear anything. He just darts across the street. Maybe Sardina's not his name. Navajas spots Mariachi across the street, barreling down the sidewalk with Pitbull hot on his heels, followed by a few of the children. It's kind of like that scene in Rocky. Navajas hangs up the phone and starts a half walk, half run after them. Mariachi finally breaks across the street, dodging through the cars, trying not to get hit, which is better than trying to get hit. He runs up the back of one car, dives for Straw Hat, barely missing, and grabs the burlap sack that this guy is wearing as a shirt, which is strange. Dave Ross must have had something to do with the wardrobe on this movie. Mariachi crashes to the ground. Straw Hat turns to see the defeated Mariachi, and he just smiles triumphantly. Out of nowhere, Pitbull bites Straw Hat's ass. Remember Pitbull? And sends him crashing, sliding into that parked car. Remember the parked car?
What?
Pitbull, panting, sits up on a step and takes a breather. He's tired. He's old. When the pitbull pants, his tongue hangs down and his massive jaws are peeled back and what looks like a huge grin. So the pitbull just sitting back like, yeah, this is awesome, man. And the mariachi lifts up the man by his shirt.
You didn't have to make a big show out of it, asshole. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
A cop, yay for cops, right? Comes running over to the two men with his baton.
Mad late.
He tries to break them up. The children finally arrive. Remember the children? And they pet the pit bull proudly. Remember being proud? They start back to their corner, and the pit bull follows them. Now from the POV of Navajas, who's walking briskly towards the commotion. We have a close-up of a small, shiny throwing knife that he unsheaths from his belt. He spins it smoothly in his hand. He's an expert thrower. You can tell this shit just by watching him tinker around with it. He must play with these things all day. And if not that, then something else. But that's a different movie. POV of Navajas nearing them. Mariachi can be seen arguing with the cop, which is what you want to do with cops. If you see a cop, the best thing to do is approach them and begin arguing. This works. This works.
Please don't. Please don't.
The cop seems to be threatening a bonk on the head with his baton. Cops.
Yeah, a bonk. Yeah, okay.
Cops like to play around. It's a joke. They'll act like, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hit you. You should continue arguing. And at that point, start making flailing motions with your arms. Mariachi still has Straw Hat, otherwise known as Sardina, by the collar. Mariachi sees Navajas as he throws the blade. It buries deep into the throat of Straw Hat, otherwise known possibly as Sardina. We're not sure because he never responded to that name, but it was shouted at him. Mariachi notices the blade jutting from Straw Hat, nay, Sardina's throat. The cop sees this too and thinks Mariachi did it because he's not really paying attention. And he's a cop. He's not bright, and he just is thuggish overall. So Mariachi lunges for Navajas, who throws now another knife. The cop pulls Mariachi back, thinking he's trying to escape. Hey, man, where are you going? You can't be throwing those knives everywhere. And Mariachi sees Navajas disappearing from view. He's like, bro, that's the guy in the gathering. He's getting into that gathering crowd right there. See the gathering crowd? And now the cop has a gun on the Mariachi. He's like, what the fuck, man? So he just like punches the hell out of the cop and takes the gun. He's like, if you're going to point it at me, I'm going to take it, okay? And I'm going to pistol whip you with it. And he does. He just pistol whips him like that. Mariachi, like this. Mariachi takes off after Navajas, leaping atop a still car to track Navajas' direction. He goes like this. He puts his hand over his eyes like that. And now Navajas is like walking briskly through the traffic before ducking into an alleyway. Just then, the car that Mariachi is standing on, it starts to drive away because, of course, and taking him with it. Mariachi jumps to another vehicle going the opposite direction because, again, of course, this is a movie. And from there, he jumps to the street running. The children are still petting the pit bull.
Think about the children.
Proudly, remember being proud as they walk. Remember walking. Pitbull sees the Mariachi. I gotta stop. In pursuit once more, and he darts out to the curb as if about to run for help. He turns back and he joins the children. He's done his good deed for the day. The Mariachi chases after Navajas, but he's lost him, man. He had a lot of time to catch him, but he was playing ballet on cars, petting dogs, fucking around with kids and shit. He realized he's still carrying the gun out in the open like some kind of lunatic, so he pockets it. You don't play with kids while you're brandishing a gun, man. He wipes his sweating brow with his hands, not holding the gun now, because that would have hurt. He moves his hand down his face in deep thought, spreading thick blood across his skin. He's got thick blood. I have thin blood. It's a problem. He sees the blood dripping down his hand. He examines his arm, and he follows the bloody trail back up to that silver throwing knife jutting out of the back of his blood-soaked upper arm. He's like, I should have shown this to the cop and been like, how the fuck did I throw that one, dude? How did I throw that one? But he never even felt the thing, so he didn't do that. The camera does a slow dolly as he surveys the streets one last time before exiting the screen with the knife still jutting, the evidence jutting out of his back. Doesn't matter. He already pistol whipped the fucking cop, okay? But now we're back in the interior of that bookstore with the mariachi gun. David wanted to stop.
But before we go into the bookstore, we are going to do a quick little ad break because this episode is sponsored by Vengeance Turns the Motion Picture.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's
Bang.
David playing the guitar himself, by the way.
Vengeance Turns the Motion Picture. In partnership with Cabin Fever Radio, this film went from an audio podcast to the big screen. Taking place in 1876 California, starring Paula Luelmo as Rebecca Falcone, a young woman who loses everything, including her beloved husband, son, and daughter, in a violent attack that leaves her for dead. When a young man, played by Azim Vecchio as Simon Coltrane, rescues her and helps her find those walking dead men, as her lust for bloody vengeance turns her into a murderous vigilante. Kind of like Antonio Banderas. Starring Jamal Gardner as Jefferson Coltrane, alongside Mariah Hart as Hester Blake, and Nevin Milan as Ghost with Silent Knives. Also including Rob Fury is in the film as Bronson.
You're like, who is he again?
Bronson. Vengeance Turns will be premiering in the film festival circuit in 2021-2022 season, but you don't have to wait till then to get your fix on the film. Visit vengeanceturns.com to check out the official trailer, as well as get your hands on limited run merch that is available right now. A direct link to the site and store is in the description below, or simply visit vengeanceturns.com. That is vengeanceturns.com. What are you waiting for? Go check it out after the show and get yourself a poster, shirt, pins, stickers, something. Bundle it up and stay tuned for more, including sneak peek of a graphic novel in the works. What?
Hey.
Yes, we are working on something very, very amazing. Remember, that is vengeanceturns.com. Vengeanceturns.com. Thank you, Vengeance Turns. And again, as a side note to all our viewers, we are raffling off Vengeance Turns merchandise. So if you want to participate in the raffle, all you have to do is take a photo or a screenshot of the live stream, showing all our beautiful faces, and post it on Instagram, on your story, or on your feed, and tag Cabin Fever Radio. That will automatically get you into the raffle. And at the end of the show, we'll be selecting 2 winners, and we'll get in contact with you after the stream. It's that easy. So show us some love, and we'll return the favor. And we will have a short little intermission, just because we are at the middle of the film, as well as giving you some more behind the scenes and good news in the works.
Good news, everybody. Good news, everybody.
And Bobby, if you want to take it off, because I got to go 10-1 real quick.
I always like on Futurama that's like what the professor always, he'll be like,
good news, everybody. Bad news.
I know, right? That's the best part. Because good news, 10-1, bad news might be 10. No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say 10-2.
You can tell that 2 out of 3 people that reading scripts will make you go to the bathroom. We have evidence that it's like about a 66.7%.
Yeah, it's not the 16-ounce can or the 10-ounce drink.
Well, I wasn't looking at that. I was simply just going very superficially, you know. Perhaps I was looking at the wrong evidence, at the wrong features. You know, that never happens.
It's the wrong Futurama. It's all right.
No, it's exciting to talk about Vengeance Turns with you guys, because that's the reason we're choosing these particular movies that we've been doing. We did Kill Bill volumes 1 and 2 for the previous 2 weeks. We're doing Desperado today, and we're doing Death Wish next week, because all of these movies have had some kind of direct impact, direct influence on the writing, the story, the style of Vengeance Turns itself. And for anybody that knows much about the Vengeance Turns, if you've listened to the podcast, or if you were a part of the movie, or if you end up seeing the movie, you will definitely see some of the very close parallels between Vengeance Turns and Desperado. There's quite a few, and they're very intentional. The overall style of the story, the leaving rooms full of dead bodies, lots of stuff like this was definitely influenced directly by Desperado. And the characters that I created, Delicate Poison and Gloria, were originally kind of created as a kind of a nod to this film, and kind of one of the characters that Danny Trejo ends up playing. So definitely an influence.
I'm back.
Cool. Well, today, as we're making announcements and we keep on talking more about the movie and stuff, we're letting you guys know that we're going to be entering the movie into film festivals. That'll probably start sometime during the summer. David and I are wrapping up the movie right now on all the work that we can do as far as getting it edited and visually and sound wise ready. And then anything that we can't do, we're going to be farming out just those few small pieces. But overall, David and I are basically seriously in control of about every single aspect of the way that this movie looks, feels, and sounds. So it's pretty exciting, but it is a slower process because of that. But we feel very confident about what's going to happen once we get it into film festivals starting this summer. And before people see the movie, even in film festivals, they're going to be able to see a comic book. We're putting out an original graphic novel called Vengeance Turns, Explosions of Truth. And the Explosions of Truth story is a direct follow. It literally overlaps with the ending of Vengeance Turns and tells a kind of a bridge story that would take us towards another big story should we get the opportunity to make another movie, or if somebody just decided to pay us to make a comic book or something like that. But Explosions of Truth is a really cool story that picks up exactly where the movie leaves off. It deals with the fate of one of the characters in the movie and tells you what happened to them. It also, a very twist of fate happens to another character. We see another major character die in that comic book story, Explosions of Truth. In that same graphic novel, there's a whole second half to it. It's actually 2/3 of the book, and it's called Vengeance Turns Back. And the Vengeance Turns Back part are all these stories that kind of take place before the movie Vengeance Turns. That when you see Vengeance Turns, they will help you understand some parts of the motivation of certain characters, just give you a little deeper insight into who they are, why they act the way they do, what was going on in their life, before they encountered the other characters in the movie. And it was really fun writing the Vengeance Turns backstories, because Amanda Fry and I, who we co-wrote the original screenplay together, as we were writing it, we would come upon these moments where we wanted to decide things about the background of the characters. We wanted to flesh them out. And there would be certain points where certain things we'd start talking about it, and I would just say, write that, or I'm going to write that. Let's just make that into another story. And so we ended up with about 8 or 9 stories written off to the side. And then I've written a couple more. And those stories are very cool because you get peek into Delicate Poison's life. At one point, Delicate Poison was married off to and somewhat raised by her husband as, for lack of a better way of saying it, a British person. Her name was Elizabeth Littleton. And you get to find out about that in the graphic novel. You get to find out about a peek into the world of Simon Coltrane. You get a look into his life not too long before the movie starts. You get a look at Jefferson Coltrane, who's one of the favorite characters I've ever created. Probably my favorite villain that I've ever created, because he's a complex villain. And it's a villain that I took a lot of care with, because I personally have a lot of sensitivity to racial issues and cultural issues and socio-cultural issues. And I knew Jefferson was going to be a bad guy, and I knew he was a black guy. And I knew that it would, because of the period that it was set in during the 1870s, that he was a former slave and things like that. But I still didn't want anywhere along the way for him to fall into kind of being a stereotype or anything like that. So as we created that character, we really, really dug in and found ways to make him complex. And one of the things I like most about Jefferson Coltrane and his character, because he's such a son of a bitch when you meet him in Vengeance Turns, you can't imagine him being anything other than a vile, despicable piece of shit. But you get to look at this guy as a kid, and in this story I wrote called Deadly Truth, you literally get a peek into his life at probably the transformative moment of when he went from possibly having potential in his life to falling off of the trail. And it's so incidental. It's like it has to do with like the way that life unfolds around us sometimes, and we are a victim to the circumstances that surround us. Jefferson grew up during slavery and was actually literate. He was taught to read, and he was befriended by the son of the plantation where he lived, the white plantation owner's son. And this should be a good thing, but man, it falls away into tragedy in the story Deadly Truth. But that story brings me to the big announcement. The biggest announcement that I really wanted to make today is that we were able to secure a major artist for that story. I'm very, very thrilled to tell you guys that I got Kurt Belcher working on my story, on Explosions of Truth. That's the sequel story. But for this 6-page story about Jefferson Coltrane, we were able to get, if you see the art behind me, that is, as many people are finally starting to recognize because of the CW show, that is Black Lightning. And we were able to get the artist, Eddie Newell Sr., who was involved in really helping to develop this character. We were able to get Eddie Newell Sr. for us, an actual name brand DC artist who has probably, done more in his career than we can dream of. And it's an amazing feeling for me, for so many reasons to have this guy working with us. And now that both of you guys are back, I'll share with you. Eddie and I exchanged emails the other day, right after we brought him on to it. And he's doing this for us at a rate that is a fraction of what he would have charged Marvel or DC. He's doing this for us. Unless he's just bullshitting us, he's doing it because he said he actually liked the story. He liked what he saw in the trailer and likes the potential of everything that we're doing. So I'm not going to mention the rate, but he did it for us at just an unbelievable rate and under unbelievable circumstances. And I'm completely stoked to have him working with us. It's unbelievable. Before we go back in the story, let me just real quickly show this piece of art that I got up here. Let me share it with the screen. and then I'll show you just a couple others real quick, and we'll go on to something else. There's the one we were just looking at. Really cool stuff. And the work that he's doing for us, if people aren't familiar, there's a style of drawing, and it's you see it more in black and white. It's called ink wash. And one of the things he's doing for us, he's doing it in ink wash. Let me give you an example of one of the pieces that he's done before. This is also from a Black Lightning piece. This is actually a page of art from Black Lightning. And in this particular sequence, Jefferson Pierce was in the hospital. And so you see two different styles of art going on, both from Eddie Newell. And one in color is like what is inside his head and what he's thinking about. And then the ink wash is showing a more dire state, a more static state, as he's basically, as you can see, just lying in bed. And that ink wash style that you see in those frames where he's just lying with the hose in his mouth and everything, that's basically the style of art that he'll be bringing to us on Deadly Truth, Vengeance Turns Deadly Truth, the hidden history of Jefferson Coltrane. I wrote that story, and I don't think there's anybody more excited to see it than I am, even though I wrote it, just because of the fact that, you know, getting to see the talent that's going to hit those pages. Rob, are you familiar with Eddie?
Yes, I've seen some of the stuff like a couple of days ago. Me and you.
I know you're a DC fan, yeah.
Oh yeah, like John. If you guys don't even know, maybe if I could unbutton this, like an OnlyFans, like Jesus, why can't I not unbutton my own shirt? Jeez,
Is it the tassels?
No, it's no tassels, but the giant Batman tattoo. So
yeah,
I am a DC fan, and like me and Bobby were like going back and back, seeing artists, and it's just like I was just like I can't believe we were able to get such an amazing artist from, and not only does he do DC, he does Marvel, he does a lot of other things. Yeah. So it's just like I'm just hyped that you guys were able to get this fantastic artist to be part of this great project.
And I hope that he gives us momentum. I hope that having Eddie with us just keeps the ball rolling forward, and we're able to continue that momentum and bring on other artists of high caliber like him. I love all the artists that we're working with, but it's really a thrill to be able to bring in people that have, you know, a recognizable name.
Totally.
For sure.
Cool.
Doing it up now. We're gonna do some El Mariachi. We're gonna finish Desperado, and we're gonna shake our tassels like we're Selma Hayek.
Oh, Selma Hayek. I've been in love with Selma Hayek since I saw this movie. This movie is when I fell in love with her. First time I ever saw her in anything. First time I saw this movie. First time I was exposed to Robert Rodriguez. And I've literally been infatuated with her my entire life since then. If she called me tonight and asked me to walk to Florida so we could be married, or, you know, I would walk across the country. And I'm not saying she lives in Florida. I'm just saying I would walk across the country starting right now to
wherever she is.
To wherever she is. I would walk across the ocean.
But yet,
Jesus style.
Yet again,
I'll make it happen.
Would you catch COVID for her?
Yeah,
you see how the limit is like I'll walk, but COVID.
After I thought, that's exactly what I was thinking. If I figure if I'm gonna walk across the country, I'm open to catching COVID. I'm not gonna not catch COVID walking across the country. Salma, I'm here.
Call me. I'll meet you halfway.
Call me,
at least.
Girl. I will rub your back. I will cook you food. You don't know. All right.
But yeah,
other stuff too.
I'll introduce us back into the show.
Cool. Everybody, check out vengeanceturns.com. Buy stuff. Check out the news on the other announcements. Next week, we'll be making one final round on this stuff, these movies. We'll be doing Death Wish, giving away one final round of stuff. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Were we able to secure the Death Wish script? Because I knew it was super hard.
I haven't found it yet, but I'll look for the next 2 days. I found this one. And this one.
If worse comes to worse, I was going to say last week, we could always do Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Not bad. It's just it falls off my thing. I had this whole thing planned out and I did find it where I can buy it for $15. It's just that, as David and I, who are roommates, know, $15 is like $1 million right now. It may as well be.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Yeah, I know, right? But again, to all our viewers, thank you again for watching. We're going to go back into the second portion of Desperado. We are reading Desperado by Robert Rodriguez. I forgot to roll my R's this time. You guys-
Robert.
This is Cabin Fever radio novellas. Let's continue on with the second portion.
So if you remember all the stuff on the street, Antonio Banderas, the Desperado, the mariachi, had to pistol whip a cop. Remember doing this?
Honestly, before we go in, that scene is not even in the movie.
Yeah,
The whole cop scene, it's not even the dog, the pit bull is not even in.
It's like, but the sequence is there. It's just not like this. It's exactly like what we went through on Vengeance Turns. They wrote this and then they went to film it and went, okay, guys, keep going.
Cut.
Yeah, because there was no cop even mentioned. The dog was even
but
there.
It's funny because I know the exact sequence they're talking about. But again, it's like it's not
there.
No.
What we got in the movie was more concise and way more action packed than having to deal with the kids and bouncing from the kids to the pit bull to the cops to all that.
Yeah.
So,
which is another lesson that we all learn. This is something we've talked about a few times on the editing of Vengeance Turns, is that, Dave and I already knew this, but you write so much of it. And then even when you go to film it, you end up deciding then not to film certain things that you wrote just because you see that it's working without saying it or doing it.
Yep.
And then when you edit it, the same thing happens again. You're looking at it and you're like, oh shit, it'd be really better if we just cut this out and let that flow.
Yeah.
And it's interesting the way that these things come to life in phases, from the idea inception till the time it hits the screen. They morph. And we really get to see that doing Cabin Fever radio novellas. That's a big benefit to actors that get to work with us, and even to the audience that gets to listen to it. You guys are getting to hear a lot of times a lot of stuff, like in Kill Bill volumes 1 and 2, and now in Desperado, you're getting to hear kind of what the original intention was sometimes, from the filmmakers. And if you enjoyed the movie, a lot of times this is just a great bonus. So anyway, back into it. And so when we left off,
bookstore,
there was that whole confrontation there with Navajas and all these guys out there on the street, Sardinas, who's been called Straw Hat. And like I said, with the knives being thrown, the cop thought that it was El Mariachi. Mariachi has to take the gun away, pistol whip him, and he walks away with one of those knives in his back that very easily could have solved the whole thing, and he never would have had to pistol whip the cop, but then nowhere near as good of a movie, even though it didn't make it in there. Anyway, now we're back in the bookstore, Carolina's bookstore, and with the mariachi gone, we see the beautiful Carolina taking this opportunity to check out his guitar case. She's wondering, who the hell have I been banging for the past couple of days? So she takes his soiled jacket off the case and gently, girls do get curious about you a few days after you become intimate. And she gently runs her fingers over the latches. She hears a noise behind her and she turns, but nothing. It's a ghost. And that was a different movie. So we're not going to talk about the ghost right now.
Yeah, because Demi Moore's not here.
Yeah, exactly. And the making of Clay and Patrick Swayze, it gets confusing. She unsnaps each latch carefully, a lot like the scene earlier. The last lid has a small lock built in it. She takes a pin from her hair because that's where girls keep their pins. And she picks the lock. It's easy for her because remember, she did surgery earlier. We know she's got skillful hands. She opens the lid. She seems surprised by what she sees. It's like we saw. It's just a guitar. She's about to close the case, but stops halfway. She opens it again. She's like, nah, wait a minute. He's got porn in here somewhere. And so she starts looking around. The guitar looks funny in this light. And she tries to pluck a string to see if it's like going to magically sprout out porn, but it doesn't move. And the fake guitar top instead rises slowly, making a creaking sound. Do that really good. It makes her heart race with fear because she's thinking, oh no, it's filled with porn. And she sees all these weapons slowly being revealed. And she's like, oh my God, he's not a pervert. And her hand darts out from behind her and grabs her arm. And she wants to scream, but she doesn't because it's Mariachi. He's staring through her. She tries to pull away, but he tightens his grip.
I appreciate what you did for me, but you shouldn't be.
And he motions to the mess that she's making.
I'm sorry. I wanted to find out what was going on. You told me you were a musician.
I was a musician.
There was shooting at the bar earlier. The man who tried to kill you worked there.
He shrugs.
What were you doing in the bar?
I'm looking for someone who can lead me to Bucho.
Who did you kill?
Everyone, I think.
That's why you didn't want to go to the hospital.
It was mostly self-defense.
I believe you. If you're not a regular customer, you're asking for trouble.
What do you know?
I know that it's not a real bar and they were selling more than booze.
She sees his sleeve full of blood and like, damn, this dude gets messed up a lot. She follows the trail of blood up to the knife.
What's all this?
I found someone else who could lead me to Bucho, but
She rolls up her sleeves. Time to get back to work.
You killed him too? On the table.
He slides up onto the table.
please, no smoking this time.
We cut to Bucho's place. He gets his car. Close up of Bucho walking into the frame, looking right into the camera. It's Bucho's POV as the front gate opens now, allowing his new black limousine to cruise into the courtyard. His right hand begins to point out the limo's features to Bucho, every detail.
Bulletproof windows, sidings, hoods, mirrors, the works. The ashtrays are bigger than the last ones.
Remember ashtrays? The doors swing open and a henchman demonstrates the gun ports. Bucho nods approvingly, walking by the car, the camera dollying through the features.
What's the progress of our vigilante?
We haven't found them yet.
No? Well, he's finding us. One of our pickups was found with a knife in his throat. You know what I was wondering, huh?
Some of the henchmen take a cautious step backward.
I'm wondering why the cops can find this guy and you can't.
Everyone's quiet.
Anyone want to tell me why?
No one jumps at that chance. He walks past a couple of henchmen and slaps one of them on cue.
Because you're a bunch of idiots, that's why. There are no more pickups scheduled today, except for the one in Juarez. Stay away from there. The rest of the town is game. Take my car and go find him.
Right hand looks over at Bucho's new black bulletproof limo.
I'll take my truck.
Take my car and get out there. You see someone you don't know, kill him. He could be shooting up the town right now.
The sunroof bursts open. A henchman pops out with a machine gun aimed at Bucho. Bucho appears slightly alarmed by this, caught off guard.
Bulletproof glass on the sunroof. Works as a shield for whoever's firing from up top.
The henchman is smiling. Bucho pulls out his pistol and blasts 3 rounds at the henchman. The bullets deflect off the bulletproof glass. The henchman jumps at the startling shots.
It works. Now go and find him.
Right hand shakes his head at the henchman who slowly sinks back into the sunroof. And we cut to the mariachi on the counter. Day. Close-up of that medical book opened up to stitching an open wound. Drops of blood fall onto that page. The mariachi winces in silent pain. There's a close-up of a needle and thread going to work on his arm. Close-up of the book as her hand enters the frame to brush the blood away from the instruction. She only succeeds in smearing the blood across the page.
I know who you are. You're that guy that you always hear stories about.
That's mostly what they are. Stories.
So you don't really go around killing drug dealers?
The man I am after is Bucho. I've taken out a few others, but they've all led up to him. He's the one.
Occasionally we see her doing the stitching, but for the most part, the camera just stays on the two of them.
Expect to do this all by yourself?
If things get rough, I'll call a few of my friends.
I've heard stories about your friends too. You're gonna need them. You can't just come into town and kill somebody like Bucho. He's semi-legit, runs a ranch, has several properties, and he's got men all over the place.
See? You do know a little.
I have a problem with what goes around here, yeah. But killing people is not my idea of improving things. I'm not gonna help you kill people.
She sees the nasty scar on his left hand and she points to it. She's interested.
What happened to you here?
He takes a break from his trance to gaze abstractly at his mangled hand, and we cut to a flashback. Mauricio pulls out a 9mm automatic pistol and fires a single devastating shot. The mariachi flinches grotesquely as his hand comes apart. Before we can really see the full effect, we cut back to the mariachi pulling his hand away. He makes a fist.
You don't want to know.
His eyes finally meet hers.
Sure, I do. I want to know why you would trade in your life as a musician to do what you're doing.
Trade in my life? They took my life.
Who?
The kind of people I'm looking for. Butcher runs operations all over northern Mexico, including the one that was responsible for destroying my hand and killed the woman I loved. If I could just take him out.
You'd be satisfied? After him, you'd want to go after the guy above him. Then the guy above that one, and on and on. You should deal with getting on with your life and let the cops handle it.
Cops handle traffic.
You're saying we don't have law and order around here?
You have order. It does not come from the law.
He's run out of things to say. He shuts off and goes back to his daydream.
All done here.
She's tying up the thread.
I'll add this to your collection.
He sits up, grunting at the pain, again like pooping. While Carolina puts the knife back into the case, she finds an interesting gadget.
So what's this do?
Mariachi attaches a .45 automatic to the gadget, then straps the gadget to her forearm using the leather strap.
Put up your hand.
She raises her hands as if surrendering.
Now count to 10.
What?
Never mind. 3. 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, to count to 10.
We intercut between her glancing between the mariachi and the .45 attached to the gadget. Close up of the mariachi counting. Close up of the gadget.
7, 8.
What's going on?
9, 10.
Carolina,
¡Feliz cumpleaños!
Surprise! Carolina squints her eyes a bit and then screams. Click. The gadget snaps and the pistol flies up into her hand. Time release pistol popper. Carolina has her other hand over her mouth. She uncovers it when she realizes she's still intact. The mariachi unceremoniously removes the gadget.
Que padre.
Papi. He lays the gadget.
No, it's, that's awesome.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, daddy. Hey, daddy. Daddy. He lays the gadget and goes back in the case. If you look close, you can see another .45 fitted into an identical gadget. The leather straps hang from both.
Anything else interesting?
He pulls out a tiny guitar case, the world's
From his
smallest
pants.
violin.
From his
It's-
pants.
Yeah, about 5 inches. She takes it in her hands. What? Admiring it.
It's cute. Can I have it?
She opens it up. Ouch. Weapons, tiny weapons. This is being cruel. He takes the case, closes it gently, and returns it to the daddy case. And she smiles.
Belongs to a friend of mine.
Sure it does.
Soft-hearted killer. Why don't you stay?
She looks he looks her in the eye, and he's standing a little too close to her. And you know that old song.
I mean, you're here enough as it is. You can take that room, but tomorrow you go.
Mariachi straps the gadget, and that ain't all, to his wrist and attaches the pistol.
First, I'm going back to the church. The men I followed may have dropped something off around there. Someone may come back to pick it up, and I'll have a new lead.
He grabs his jacket and sees that Carolina has sewn the bullet hole shut and cleaned off the blood.
You sewed it up. Gracias.
She shrugs.
Why are you helping me?
I don't know.
The mariachi
Dirt.
Turns and leaves. The door closes and he's gone.
Because you're attracted to you and you're dangerous and I'm bored.
Yeah, that's right.
Me,
Cut
mommy,
to-
I don't see nothing wrong with
Que
the little
madre.
mariachi, with the little mariachi in Grand. Okay, let's go.
We cut to Navajas out in the streets. It's daytime. Right Hand and his men cruise the city streets in the limo. At a stoplight, little kids try and clean the windshield. Remember them? The driver waves them away. They try and clean it anyway. The driver turns on the wipers. The kids try and clean the windshield in between the wipes.
We should have taken my truck.
The other henchmen feel out of place as well, except for one. He looks like he's having a good time. They slow down near the alleyways. The men that are searching on foot climb into the car after an area has been checked. Navajas, he's at that payphone, got a pocket full of quarters. We know him. He's watching cars go by.
Down.
Bucho back at the ranch. Bucho gets a call. It's the guy on the payphone, right?
Yeah.
Bucho listens. He doesn't like what he hears.
Look, I didn't call about this sooner because
Smoke pours out of his ears.
I knew I could handle it. He's in town and he's got no place to go. We've got him.
Bucho does not like what he's hearing.
What do you mean you said something or someone already? How long has he been here? Well, who is he? Where is he? What are you talking about? We can handle this. Someone like that just doesn't go tearing up the place, makes a lot of noise. Look, I got to know who he is or the wrong people will get hurt. Next time, I promise. I tell you about it sooner. But I knew I could handle.
Bucho slams the phone down.
Shit.
He thinks for a whole 2 seconds before snatching the phone back up. And he stalls over dialing.
What's the number to the phone on my car?
Everybody just kind of looking at each other.
Hey, fuckheads! What's the number to the phone in my car?
No one seems to know. A few even just tell him straight up, we don't know. And a few others take small, kind of smooth steps back. Bucho pulls out a gun and fires a round in the air. He has the phone in his other hand, shaking it violently.
What's the number to the phone in my fucking car?
We cut to exterior shot of the mariachi going to church because this is a good time to pray. Mariachi walks out on the street. He passes Navajas, who is sitting in a horse-drawn carriage. Navajas watches the mariachi turn the corner, then starts after him. Mariachi walks towards the church in the far distance at his usual pace. No need to feel rushed. No need to look anxious. Navajas, though, produces another shiny steel throwing knife. He's got a lot of them. They're cheap where he comes from. He effortlessly flips it around in his hands the way that he does. He makes it sound as it cuts through the air. He picks up his pace, but doesn't get too close to be noticed. The mariachi knows what he looks like now. Mariachi picking up his speed. Now he is getting a little faster. The church is a block away. He wants to pray. Navajas produces another blade with his other hand, slices the air with the knives alternately.
Ding, 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 ding.
The sound is almost musical. The rhythm underscores the scene and it heightens the tension because, of course, the scene builds as the blades faster and the gap between the two men lessens. Navajas is about a half a block away. Mariachi's arms flail upward as a thunk. That's one of my favorite words. Thunk is heard, pushing him forward. Mariachi tries to strain his head around to see the shiny metal protruding from his back. He likes getting stabbed in the back. Navajas flings a few more knives at Mariachi. One plants in his leg, the other in his forearm, as he tries to shield his face. Don't get hit in the face, Antonio. Navajas peels his shirt back, revealing a belt full of knives. Damn it. Mariachi pulls himself up and tries to run into the alley. Navajas throws 4 more knives in rapid succession at Mariachi. Again, think about knives and goes with silent knives protects. A few hit with audible thunks. Thunk is a good word. A police car pulls up, and the cop that taught Mariachi the first time steps out. He is bandaged about the head. He got pistol whipped, remember? Bonk, bonk. He looks pissed. You would be too. Navajas tosses a few knives his way. Thunk, thunk, down for the count. Mariachi, with his arm raised, pulls the knife from his forearm as the 45 pops up from his sleeve. Remember that? Shunk. And into his hand. In his other fist, he's holding the removed knives in a group to form one big bloody weapon. He's ready to fight. Navajas sees Mariachi behind a trash can, but before he can throw his death blades and before Mariachi can rush out for the attack,
No, Navajas, no.
the black limo, remember that? It pulls up behind Navajas. The sunroof opens. Remember the sunroof? It opens and a henchman rises up through the roof. I don't know you. Navajas spins and launches the blade just as the henchman rips Navajas to shreds with accurate bullet hits to the chest.
Bang, bang.
These blade missiles plant deeply into the henchman's face and neck. He grunts as he falls back down into the limo. His grip locked tight on the trigger of his gun, which lowers into the limo. The men yell "Ah!" as bullets bounce, boing, 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 around inside the car. Henchman's face and body are pummeled until his dead hand is freed from the trigger. A few henchmen climb out with their guns pointed. Navajas struggles to stand, blood spilling from his mouth. He tosses a couple of blades out and pegs the nearest henchman.
No.
The other henchman shoots Navajas dead.
Ow.
The henchman grabs Navajas and the dead henchman, stuff them in the trunk, good place for a dead person, and they drive off. They never even see Mariachi, who's stumbling off to the other side of the alley. Who's fighting who? Exterior, back at the ranch. It's day. Bucho is on the phone. The camera is on the Bucho. We see no one except the phone and the Bucho.
I'm sorry, the Bucho. Oh, man. Hey, it is me again. About the guys you sent. I know I have one question. What does he look like? Just so we know, so my guys don't get confused. I know your guy's good, but in case we find him accidentally, I want to know that we cover all our bases, all right?
Hello, it's me. Hello, it's me. The right hand and his men are dragging Navajas' body to the table.
Dark hair, dark skin. Yeah, I figured that. Can you give me a few more details? It would be worth our while, tattoo on right shoulder.
Bucho turns to see if Navajas matches the description. The henchmen lift up Navajas' sleeve. There is a tattoo of the Colombian flag on his arm.
What else? A necklace? A necklace with 2 knives crossed.
The men open Navajas' shirt. They find a necklace, and they hold it up to inspect it. It's 2 crossed knives.
Any weapons?
The men wait for the next description,
Throwing knives.
Uh-huh. Right hand is about to look for those knives, stops, then simply points to the corpse lying a few feet away. Bucho turns to see the dead henchman lying on the ground with throwing knives buried like all around his head and his neck.
And a bucket full of coins to call you from a payphone with progress reports.
Jingle jangle. We knew about those coins. Right hand pulls out a handful of them from Navaja's pocket and dumps them on the ground. No more payphone.
Okay. That should be it. Thank you. We'll stay in touch, and we'll stay out of the way of his. We'll stay out of his way. Okay.
He hangs up the phone.
Goodbye.
He hangs up the phone.
Fucking God.
Right hand lets out another of his ill-timed short bursts of laughter. He may have Tourette's. He shakes it off quickly. His eyes widen and blink like he's got something in his eye. Bucho paces about. He kicks the henchman's dead body.
This is what I am talking about. We're being watched by our own guys. He's been here since this morning, checking up on us. Bastard sent him to check up on us.
Bucho kicks Navajas' dead body.
The time to find this guy is now. Shoot first, check pockets later.
Now we're going to cut back to the mariachi and that boy. The mariachi's against an alley wall trying to catch his breath. He has makeshift tourniquets around his forearm and leg. The mariachi sees the boy out on the street with his guitar, but he's not practicing like he told him to. So the mariachi's about beating the shit out of him. He's not doing anything. He's just standing there. And mariachi's like, damn you, damn you. Mariachi walks out back from the alley and he calls out to that boy, ready for a thrashing.
Mimito.
The boy sees the mariachi and waves. He runs across the street. The mariachi looks both ways. No one's around. Time for a beating.
Jeez, bro. Why aren't you practicing? I told you, every day, all day.
I can't play this guitar.
See? Beat.
What are you talking about?
It's
What are you talking about?
what are you talking?
Beat.
It's my father's. I have to go get mine. Come on.
Where are you going?
I'm going to get mine.
I'll wait here.
It's right over there. Literally
your-
across the street. I'll run through the cars and
He
everything.
points.
What's over there?
Besides the cars, it's my guitar. Come on. I want to show you how I've been practicing.
Don't beat me. Nino stops in the middle of the street to turn around and call Mariachi.
Come on.
Mariachi runs out because he really wants to beat this kid and grabs him just as the big white Mack truck nearly bowls them over. And Mariachi kind of holds the kid out, make sure he gets hit by him. Mariachi delivers the boy safely to the other side of the street by accident. The camera dollies with Mariachi as he follows Nino, looking cautiously from side to side to front. Mariachi is in obvious pain, not having killed the boy.
It's over there.
Mariachi is cautious. The camera tracks down the street, the two of them walking along the sidewalk. We're at the Mariachi's POV of the boy walking ahead of him. Mariachi stops. The boy continues to corner and peers around it. 2 shots of the two of them standing there against the wall. Close up of the Mariachi looking over his shoulder. He starts walking again. Mariachi point of view as he walks towards the boy and taps him on the shoulder.
Where is your guitar?
Wait a minute. It's coming.
This all seems very normal. Nino is looking around the corner. He turns to Mariachi, pushes him back a little bit.
Stay back there. No one else is supposed to be here.
Mariachi knows what the hell is up and smells this rat. He slowly reaches into his coat and finds his gun. Low angle shot of the boy peering around the corner. Behind him, we can see the gun lowering to Mariachi's side. A beat up old Volkswagen Bug is puttering at a distance.
See? Here he comes, not running me over.
Extreme close up of the Mariachi carefully sneaking a peek around the corner. The Volkswagen slows to a crawl as it nears the sidewalk. Nino walks out to the edge of the sidewalk and unstraps his guitar. The window to the Volkswagen rolls down. An identical guitar is switched with the boy's guitar.
Gracias.
The car idles as the car is checked. The car finally speeds off, turning the corner where Mariachi is standing. They slam on the brake when they see Mariachi standing there with the boy. Mariachi fingers the gun, say, "What?" Ready to start blasting if anyone breathes. The car is idling, wondering what to do.
See? I didn't get run over and now I can play this guitar.
Nino notices Mariachi's gun and then looks over to the stopped car. Mariachi throws Nino around the corner to the ground, abusing him as he has wanted to this whole time. The car door swings open and the Mariachi does a running dive, blasting all the way. The bullets tear up the first man out the door and the Mariachi lands atop the car, sliding until his feet kick the second man, leaping out the other door. Mariachi lands on him, fires a blast deep in his gut, using his body to help muffle the shot. Mariachi throws him down and checks the tiny car for anyone else. No one. Mariachi grabs that switched out guitar. Nino brushing it off, picking himself up and his guitar off the ground, saying, "What you got, Mariachi?" Mariachi grabs him by the arm and carries him back down the alley for more beating. Exterior of the alley in the daytime. Mariachi drops that kid on the ground, takes the switched out guitar and smashes it against the wall. Several white bags fall to the ground. The Mariachi is furious. His face is hot and he shakes with rage.
This is your father's guitar?
The kid nods.
This is why he can't work anymore? Too busy making you carry the stuff for him?
All I have to do is carry my guitar around. They switch guitars every few weeks.
And what do you get out of it?
My father doesn't have to work. He sits home and watches TV.
Ay, lazy. What else does he do?
That's it. They drop us stuff off at the house for a while if it's a lot, or they switch guitars if it's only a little bit. My dad says they're getting smarter, so they hide it all over the place. Ladies with baby carriages, churches. Ask Carolina. She'll tell you. She does the same thing. She's richer than my dad.
Bum, bum, bum. Reveal.
Ah!
Reveal. The camera's on the mariachi. And you know what? Rage against no machines. Just Carolina. Cut to exterior mariachi and Carolina. Carolina has a package in her arms and is unlocking the front door to the bookstore. She turns and sees Mariachi striding at her with the face of a madman. He grabs Carolina gently but firmly. He pushes her towards the door. He is resisting his sudden aggressiveness. The vendor with no chicle is standing across the street, watching closely at what's happening. That jolly old smile he usually sports is nowhere to be found. Right now, he's all business with no chicle. Vendor's POV. The mariachi forces Carolina inside. The vendor walks off. A large trailer truck approaches, finally passing in front of us, obscuring the vendor from our view. We cut to the interior with Mariachi and Carolina. Mariachi throws Carolina up against a wall, a 45 shoved firmly against her throat.
What have you told him?
I haven't done anything wrong.
You work for him. I want to know what you have said.
It's my job to look the other way. I've done that. As far as I'm concerned, you don't exist.
So this bitch has her back against the wall. Get it? Mariachi spins and throws a punch right off camera. From this angle, all we can see is Mariachi punching away. It would seem to be Carolina. We switch to a two-shot and see that he is punching the bookcase right beside her face. She's flinching, but realizes he means her no harm. He's only semi-abusive.
All this time, you're telling me, let the cops handle it. All this time, you've been protecting that bastard. I should kill you both.
He pushes her away.
If you want to protect him, I'd have told him you were here. I didn't.
Well, you sure don't want him dead.
I don't want anybody dead. I told you, I don't think killing him is the answer. Besides, you'd be dead before you'd get a chance to do anything.
I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop him.
There are people above him with power you wouldn't believe. How far are you prepared to take this? I've tried to help you, but you'd rather be dead than see what's really going on. Dum, dum, dum.
Oh, I see that you're no better than he is.
Look, I don't sell the drugs. I don't move the drugs. All I do is what I normally do. Yeah?
Which is?
I run a legitimate business, a bookstore cafe, my bookstore.
Ha! Lacha!
They only use the place as an occasional storage until someone else comes and picks it up. But whatever they're storing, as far as I am concerned, that's all I'm doing is renting out space.
El ha-ha. Renting space. What you're doing? That's all you're doing, huh? How much?
The back room.
No. How much does he pay you?
$150,000 American dollars a year, cash.
And
that's crazy because
that's
in the
in
movie it's
19
only 50.
and doesn't matter. It's in
all
1990s dollars and it's in Mexico, so it's like 50 billion of today's.
Yeah. All fives and tens.
It's interesting how, like, in the script it's way more money, but in the movie they're like, okay, we need a reasonable number. 50,000 a year makes sense.
It makes it sound like that she's selling out for less. You know, it makes her sound a little scummier if she does it for less.
Oh, it should have been like $1,000 in a pack of half-chewed
Chicle.
bubblegum.
Chicle.
Ah,
see bubble gummies. some chicle.
$150,000 worth of chicle a year.
Damn,
Chicle.
bro. Like, what are you gonna do
Mariachi.
with that? I don't want. That's a lot of chicle. Yo, listen. If you got gingivitis or halitosis, you're definitely good.
The mariachi's face shifts, maybe becoming a werewolf. This may become like From Dusk Till Dawn, and now all of a sudden it's a horror movie where he's going to savagely attack Carolina after becoming a werewolf. But he doesn't. He stops what he's doing, and he lies defeated against the counter. How can he get people that make that kind of money for doing nothing to rally behind him? Carolina sits down next to him. She lays her hand on top of his, which gives him kind of a clue to the question he was just thinking to himself.
I was trying to run this place, and it wasn't working out. I would have had to close it down. I don't want to have to go back to the United States, find work cleaning houses. I don't even clean up this house. I don't open this place just to see it fail.
He's not listening. He's just thinking about his ex.
One day, someone walked in with a suitcase full of money and said, "Take this and just keep doing what you're doing. We'll leave something in the back and every once in a while, and I'll go pick it up and after a few days, yada, yada, yada. You just have to go about your own business. You won't be in any danger. And for that, get 150,000 chiclets worth of pesos."
Mariachi doesn't hear anything. He's a gun fetishist. She's talking, but he's staring at his gun and going, "Dang, girl, you look good."
Don't you get it? These guys want to blend in. They pay legitimate business to use them as a front. Hence, fronts. At least put the money to good use. This town never had a bookstore cafe, until I built this place.
And the customers are just lining up. Right?
Of course. The money keeps this place open. Some of it, anyway. I stash the rest. Someday, if things start getting bad around here, I just have the money to leave.
You're not impressing me.
She's quiet.
Once I said yes, I was part of it. They're not going to let me quit. I couldn't have refused it, but I wanted this place to succeed. I created my own problem, and I'm dealing with it. Why don't you quit?
I swore I wanted to give up until I was. I swore I wanted to give up until it was over. I didn't create this problem. Me like Bocho did. But like you, I'm dealing with it.
They have stuff in common. Mariachi crouches to the floor. It's dark out. Carolina joins him
We're
on
both
the
emo.
floor. Yeah, she places her hand on his. The romantic music starts.
I can't convince you that there is some good to what I'm doing. And you'll never convince me that what you're doing is good for anyone other than yourself. So let's just drop it, okay?
Carolina notices the tourniquets and the blood-soaked clothes.
God, you're a mess again.
Bow chicka wow wow. This is a message to take off his clothes.
Hey, what's that?
It was for you.
Mariachi lifts the package off the ground. It resonates. He lifts the guitar out of the plastic bag. His eyes are on Carolina. He finally drops his gaze to see the craftsmanship, and you know what? It's damn good.
Is it still for me?
I didn't get you a case since you already had one.
He strums it lightly. Sounds good, too. Jingle jangle.
I hope I could convince you to clear the guns out of your case and put this instead.
Mariachi looks at her, and she moves close to him. Bow chicka wow wow.
Play something.
Like me, he's thinking. Bow chicka wow wow. She grabs his hand, and the mood sweetens. We see his mangled hand. Bow chicka wow wow.
I'm so sorry. I'm not in the mood. I cannot play anymore. My hand is all screwed up. I have PTSD.
So you improvise.
And she straps on the guitar.
Have you even tried when things weren't going right, what would you do? You'd play, wouldn't you? Now, when things don't go your way, you leave it all bottled up inside. What are you do? What are you talking? Wait, that's not fair.
What are you talking about? Huh?
What do you do to release it?
Besides stroking at least 17 times a day, I kill drug dealers.
She
I'm a
stares
lonely
into
man. What can I say?
with that mangled hand. She stares into his eyes. She straps
strong
on.
hand.
She straps it on. It's a guitar, but she still straps it on. She places her hand over his, leading it to the strings, and goes bow chicka wow wow.
Put your fingers here. I think this would be better therapy.
Bow chicka wow wow. She starts to strum lightly with both of their hands. Bow 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 chicka bow bow. And she's like, "Are you here to fix the cable?" And he's like, "Yeah." Her other hand is taking care of the fingerings. Ooh yeah.
I got
Get
that
busy
extra
with the
sausage
fingerings.
pizza for you.
Oh, I got some fingerings going. She's starting off slow and soft. The mariachi seems a bit surprised that she knows how to play.
You play.
A little bit. I learned it from one of the books.
Yeah, no doubt. This is called the Karma Sutra. She's playing competently enough. You can almost make out the melody
You're skipping notes.
and pages, apparently.
Yeah.
He points to where the fingerings go. Where are you fingering, girl? Humming the notes as she shows her the correct placement. Not there, not there. Carolina again meets his gaze.
You see, you're remembering already.
They're playing that
girl.
song now. Oh yeah, them fingerings and the strummings, them's all going. Fingering, 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 fing.
Hopefully, we don't get kicked out of all the platforms.
Mariachi. It was time to
Giving
play
the straight
music.
Dutch
This is
angle
all
right here.
musical. This is all about fingering, y'all. Fingering, fingering, and fingering and fingering like teenagers in the backseat of a car with their guitars. Mariachi begins to pick the strings. His fingers popping the taut strings in clear, clean flicks. Make sure you say flicks.
I am adding the Dutch angle right now, so to make this even more
Disturbing.
unnerving.
Okay. Mariachi is playing slowly. It's as if he's hearing the notes for the first time. They don't flow as easily as they used to when they meant nothing. The melody is elaborate, haunting. Carolina leans her head against his shoulder. She kisses the side of his face. He's lost in thought. She kisses him again. He isn't responding. It might be an injury. Again, she kisses him. He looks up at her. They kiss.
Yeah.
Where's the little blue pill? It's getting warm in here. They slowly drop out of frame. He strums an ending to the song as they disappear from the screen. Bow chicka wow wow. The screen is empty. The theater audience is trying to peer over the frame to see exactly what's going on. What's going on?
As the inspector walks through the door.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here to inspect your store.
Oh,
Your cafe. Please don't be fucking on the tables. You can't do that.
That's a safety hazard.
I'm giving you a B. Let's see. Bucho,
For
Bucho
Bucho.
comes out of his hacienda. Right hand and his men are gathered around.
He's hiding outside the bookstore. It seems what's her name's been keeping our boy warm at night.
Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
And how do you know?
We got a call from one of appointment that sells chiclets.
I do not want to make a lot of noise over this. I want it to be done clean. I want it done neat. And I want it to look like it was an accident.
How do we do that?
It's a bookstore. Burn it down.
Oh yeah, very subtle.
Yeah, exactly. Fire. Nobody ever suspects anything. Fire. No problem. It's a fire. We cut to interior Carolina's bed. Sunrise. I wonder what they did all night. Close on Carolina. Probably more fingerings. Close on Carolina, asleep and peaceful. The sound of someone humming a familiar tune. Outside, bow chicka wow wow was that familiar tune. The humming can still be heard on the soundtrack. Bow chicka wow wow. We see the Bucho's henchmen sneaking around the back. We cut back to Carolina sleeping peacefully as Mariachi creeps into the frame. He's a creeper. He kisses her head and he sings softly.
Estas son las mañanitas.
He gently pulls the sheet back because he wants just one more little peek. Exposing her clean, silky shoulder, he kisses her skin. It's a little bit creepy still.
En que cantaba el rey David.
Now it's getting personal.
I got no rhythm on that. I haven't. The song wasn't in there, but all right, I'll take it. And David's giving me like a 2 thumbs up. Like, okay, I'll give you like a B on your Espanol right now, sir.
He's thinking about-
it's your interpretation.
God
While
dang
she-
it, that's a no.
while
That's
she-
an F.
While she's unconscious, he considers giving her a tattoo. He
Oh.
pulls back the sheet a little bit more. Her soft back glows in the morning light, ready for a tattoo. He exposes the newly exposed, untattooed as yet area. Carolina's eyes open.
Esperanda y bonitas de las cabratos.
More,
Let me try that one more time. Inspiradas y bonitas te las cantamos.
Yeah.
more
It's still
sheet
part of the
lost.
same song at the top. Yeah.
Oh, that's the song? I thought he was
Yeah,
talking to him now. Oh, my bad.
Inspiradas y bonitas te las
Te las
cantamos.
contamos.
More sheet lost. He's still pulling it back and still thinking tattoos. More beautiful back exposed tattoos. More wonderful kisses. Carolina is aware yet silent. She wants a tattoo. She's playing possum. He rips that sheet off. He's like, damn, girl, what you got? And Carolina's feet whack the mariachi upside his head. She's like, you are a creeper. She laughs as the mariachi rolls off the bed, thudding heavily to the floor. She peeks over the side of the bed to view her handiwork. The mariachi is on the ground.
You know, you'd be the man of my dreams if you know how to sing and not carry those guns around.
Maybe I'll give them up.
The singing or the guns?
Really?
A noise off screen to the balcony. Mariachi, more fingering. He puts his finger to his lips, begging for silence.
What's wrong?
Mariachi rises slowly, fingering his lips. Carolina holds her hands up in defense, laughing, expecting a double cross. Mariachi, busy fingering, his senses tuned towards the window behind him. He spots his guitar case across the bed, yet remains motionless, except the fingering.
What is it?
The window crashes open with rapid gunfire.
Bang, bang, bang.
Before Carolina can scream, Mariachi is diving over the bed, trying to get away. Carolina holds the blanket up to shield her. It won't work. They're bullets, dumbass. She's defenseless in her bed. The man at the window is now inside the room and aiming a gun at Carolina. Mariachi bolts up from behind the bed with the biggest firearm you've ever seen, unless you've read a Rob Liefeld comic.
And he was naked. Put it together.
Hey ho, hey ho. Do you hear him saying ho? Yes, the one from the opening scene. He really does have one of those. Oh. One blast sends the bad guy somersaulting backwards by the impact, crashing him hard and twisted to the floor. Mariachi spots a backup man climbing up the balcony, and Mariachi and the backup guy both shoot at the same time. In midair, a puff of smoke accompanies the sparks and sound punch that take place at the center of the point, or in between them. A small metal object hits the floor. Mariachi and the bad guy both notice it. Mariachi is first to shoot again. He hits the bad guy square between the eyes. The impact sends him somersaulting over the balcony.
Who the hell was that?
We're getting out of here.
Half dazed, she looks around the bed for something to wear.
But
More henchmen surrounding the building.
Shh, let's go.
More henchmen coming around the back.
I need to get my stilettos.
Mariachi grabs her by the arm and drags her off the bed.
Oh,
Angle on the running feet.
yay.
Mariachi has his boots on and is ready to go. Quentin Tarantino is a happy man while Carolina's bare feet pitter-patter across the floor. They stop at a mismatched pair of shoes, Quentin's size, as she slips them on. Mariachi grabs his jacket and throws it to her. As she slips on the jacket, Mariachi picks up the small object off the floor and inspects it as he walks toward her. We have a lot of that going on tonight. Close-up of the two bullets smashed together, forming a tiny little sculpture.
Two bullets smashed together in midair. Never seen that before.
They barrel out the door as she buttons up jackets, panties, mismatched shoes. She's ready, record time. They burst out the door.
You look lovely.
Thank you. Where are we going?
Downstairs and out the front.
Down the stairs, They open the door where the main room of the bookstore is engulfed in flames.
Oh, Jesus.
Mariachi grabs her and pulls her back up the stairs.
Done, Jesus.
Jesus. No, you said
Oh,
Jesus.
Jesus. He looks about for an escape route, a mouse in a maze with starving cats on his tail. Carolina pries her arm from his fatherly grip and snatches a 45 from his belt. She ain't afraid. She grabs his arm and pulls him along.
You're following me. What's going on?
A henchman appears at the top of the stairs. Mariachi shoots him before the guy has a chance to take aim.
Bang.
He falls, tumbling down the stairs. Carolina gives him several sharp kicks as he rolls past.
Bastard, bastard, bastard.
And if you look at that picture back there, like she's short. And look at their height. They're almost the same height. He's a little dude. As they climb up the roof, Carolina looks over the side of the building and watches the flames lick the walls. They run to the opposite side of the roof where they can jump to another building. He peers over the side. A few men waiting down in the alley fire a few rounds up at him. He pulls away as the concrete near his face coughs up chunks of rock. He puts his guitar case down and they both walk slowly back toward the middle of the roof. He glances over his shoulder to see if anyone is climbing up from the other side. They scope their surroundings, trying to think of another way out of this, but there just ain't. Mariachi and Carolina grab each other's arms and pull themselves closer for a huge kiss as the camera slowly dollies into a medium close-up. They break apart from each other, exchanging desperate looks as Mariachi releases the empty clip from his gun. A shot at the ground level shows the empty clip hit the ground. From this angle, we see Carolina removing her mismatched shoes, fashion, and putting them in her coat pockets. Mariachi shoves a fresh clip into the gun and chambers around as Carolina breathes heavily, knowing what they have to do. Without warning, they both break into a sprint towards the edge of the building. Mariachi blasts rounds over the side at the men below, and Carolina long jumps the chasm between the two buildings, landing on a lower edge of the adjacent building. Mariachi throws the guitar case over to her. She guides it to a spot beside her and chambers around in the pistol. Mariachi hops up to the ledge and balances himself, ready for the jump. Carolina starts blasting at them now. Two bad guys have climbed up the opposite side of the roof and start shooting at the Mariachi's back. Mariachi nearly falls over as the bullets lick his heels and take chunks of his ledge off all around him. The Mariachi shakily swings around to return fire and almost falls over. His heels are teetering on the edge. He bends his knees and pulls a second pistol from his coat. He catapults himself off the building backwards, both guns firing. It's a cool shot. As he flies blindly to his destination, one of the bad guys on the roof is fatally hit during this feat. Carolina looks up and almost double takes at the sight of the Mariachi jumping backwards toward her. The men below take this opportunity to fire at the Mariachi as he flies. She rolls out of his way. He slams down hard next to her, gasping for the wind that was just knocked out of him. She grabs hold of him to keep him from falling off over the side. The bad guy throws himself over the chasm and lands on the ledge with his chest. He slides down, barely catching himself with both hands. He dangles precariously over the side. Both Mariachi and Carolina stare helplessly at the bad guy as he tries desperately to climb up. Blood seeps from the corners of his mouth. He looks genuinely terrified and, really quite pathetic. This dilemma disturbs Mariachi and Carolina. One of the bad guy's hands slips, and we can tell Carolina is pondering, should I save this guy? Mariachi is thinking the same thing. Bad guy brings his hand back up, only this time it has a gun in it. Dumb move. Our hero's expression changed from one of concern to one of contempt, just like they had just seen Donald Trump naked. They kick him off. The camera follows the bad guy all the way to the ground. As he hits the ground with a grotesque thud, the camera then pans up to reveal the other henchmen, who are now prompted to fire several more shots at the Mariachi and Carolina. Mariachi takes 2 grenades from his case and pulls the pins. He holds them up for a few seconds, then drops them over the side. 2 henchmen below try to be slick, catching these falling objects. By the time they realize what they've caught, it's too late, and boom, they're gone. Mariachi and Carolina climb up and leap to another building. They're leapers. And then yet to another. They're leapers. We cut to the limo out on the streets. The limo pulls up a few blocks from the bookstore. Remember the bookstore? And Bucho steps out. Remember him? He watches the building burn. Remember fire? His men come out and give a report. Mariachi and Carolina atop of the building. Close up of Carolina watching the bookstore burn. Tears stream down her face. Mariachi has his arms around her. They're on a safe perch a few buildings away from Bucho.
I'm sorry, Carolina.
Through her soaked eyes, she sees Bucho surveying his handwork.
That's the bastard down there.
Mariachi sees the backside, the big, 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 broad backside of Bucho.
I can get a clean shot from here.
Of course he can. It's a big, big butt. He grabs his case and finds a suitable weapon. He positions himself. Bucho turns to get in his limo. We get a good look at his face. So does Mariachi. Mariachi stops short. Bucho pauses at the door of his car to say something to another henchman. Mariachi is studying Bucho's face. Bucho strikes the henchman and pounds the hood of the car. We can tell by this exchange that Bucho knows that they escaped. Mariachi lowers his gun. His eyes are wide. His expression is one of extreme pain. He grips his head tightly, as if trying to squeeze a migraine from his skull.
What's going on?
The mariachi is confused. He puts his gun down and just stares back at her.
What are you doing? Shoot the bastard.
You didn't want me to kill anybody anyway.
My whole life was in there. You destroyed it. He did the same thing to you. We can do the same thing to him.
If I shoot him right now, they'll catch you. I don't care what happens to me, but I want you to get away and get safe.
I don't care what happens to me. He destroyed everything. Shoot the bastard.
Mariachi does not understand this woman. Do we ever? And it shows on his face. Doesn't it always? See that Bucho is already in the limo and driving away.
Damn it, he's getting away. You had the perfect chance.
I can't go on shooting everybody. You said so yourself. I'm starting to believe you.
I don't care what I said before.
I'm getting you out of here.
They're the perfect couple. He pulls her away from the side of the burning building, and we dissolve to interior of a hotel, daytime. Mariachi and Carolina, the perfect couple, are in their room. Mariachi still seems to have the splitting headache. He looks like he might just puke.
We leave town. Take some of the money you stashed and leave town.
There is no stash money anymore.
You said
It's gone. I had it hidden in the books at the top of the shelves on my bookstore cafe.
Wah, wah, wow. Mariachi looks like he's lost all hope.
What about you? Any family?
parents are gone.
Siblings?
Had a brother. Lost him to drugs. Too.
Mariachi thinks his head must be splitting in half because he's trying to crush that shit.
What about the friends you talked about?
Oh no, those guys are crazy. They shoot up half the town and Butcher still would get away.
He pulls out a wad of cash that Buscemi gave him.
I've got this. Does it count?
Where'd you get that?
It's in advance to kill Bucho, paid by the families of the drug enforcement agent that Butcher had killed. Butcher was never taken to justice for what they want him. So they want him dead.
I thought you were going after Bucho for personal reasons.
I am. But since they're willing to pay me for something I was going to do anyway, I figured it wouldn't hurt to come out of it, for the head for once. But if I don't go through with it, they're going to want this back.
I don't think we've got a choice. Something has to be done. I can't go around wandering when they'll be creeping up behind me and put a bullet in my head.
He finally stands and slowly walks over to the phone. He lifts the receiver and searches his mind for the number. He finds it and then punches it in.
Chapa, ¿qué hora es? Is Kenyo here? Where is he? How fast can two of you get to Sancilia? Good. Same thing as in Pietria. Yeah. Hurry it up. No, I'll be looking for you. Because you're easy to spot.
The bullets shine in the light and Carolina is almost entranced.
Thanks, Champa. And hey.
The camera dollies in.
Bring your guitars.
Bum, bum, bum. Carolina slowly looks up at Mariachi, who puts down the phone and turns to meet her gaze. The music throbs, then boils over. Now we're back outside Bucho's ranch. Right Hand and his men are standing around like idiots. They're good at that. They've missed Mariachi again, and Bucho is enraged? Is that a strong enough word?
Okay. It's one thing if you can't find somebody running around the city, hiding in any place he chooses. I could understand that. But what I can't understand is how you can let him get away when you know where he was.
They're silent.
The time to get this guy is now. What do I pay you for? Do I have to do everything myself?
Right Hand is humiliated. His men shuffle nervously, knowing this could be the point where they're fucked.
You take my car. You drive around. When you see someone you don't know, you shoot them. How hard is that, huh?
Bucho grabs Right Hand's gun from his belt. He surveys the courtyard. One of the men that screwed up is standing at what he feels is a safe distance from Bucho. Maybe 20 yards away. Bucho singles him out. Look. Oh, sorry.
Hey, you. Don't be stealing my lines, man. Look. Who's that over there, huh?
Everyone looks at that guy 20 yards away.
I don't know him.
The 20-yard henchman looks confused. Right Hand doesn't want to watch this. He knows what's going to happen.
I've never seen him before in my life. Look, he's carrying a gun. That must be him.
Bucho raises the gun and fires at the 20-yard away henchman, the bullet taking part of the guy's head to the ground. The lifeless body joins it.
How hard was that? That is easy.
Bucho shoves the gun back behind Right Hand's belt. A group of henchmen, stunned by the sudden loss of their buddy, are standing at what they think is a safe distance from Bucho too. They're like 30 yards away.
Look, over there, buying a taco. I don't know those guys.
Bucho grabs the gun again from Right Hand's belt. The group of henchmen at 30 yards spin around and they leap over barrels for cover. Bucho fires at them, missing every time.
I just love that scene. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How hard is that, huh?
Bucho shoves the barrel against Right Hand's forehead.
Bang! Think you can handle that? Or do I have to do everything myself?
Right Hand takes the gun and he replaces it himself now into his belt.
I'll handle it. I'm taking my truck. Forget about it.
He likes that truck. Right Hand storms toward his truck, a big monster truck, almost like a tank, a macho mobile, a real man's vehicle.
Aye, stupido! You're taking my car! What do you think I bought it for?
Right Hand turns around and walks back to the limo. He's like, okay. They pack it in.
Hurry up!
As they're cruising away in the limo, Bucho takes his pistol and fires at them. The bullet
Bang, bang, bang!
and the limo picks up speed. So we cut to a bus arriving in town. It's a passenger bus. It rides towards the camera, blurred almost beyond recognition by the heat waves that bake the air. It pulls up to a beaten curb and chokes to a stop. A short-skirted young woman walks to the sidewalk to stop bus. The camera walks beside her, never leaving those legs. From here, we can see the bus door slide open, allowing Campa to exit. He's dressed in a black mariachi suit, slightly worn, and carries a guitar case. He also has the monkey on his back, also dressed in his own little mariachi suit. Remember the monkey? Campa sees the woman, love at first sight. He nods to her politely as she boards the bus. He searches the city for a path that will take him to the rendezvous point. Exterior of a shoe shine corner. A man in another slightly worn mariachi suit rounds a corner, occupied by a couple of scraggly kids with shoe shine boxes. Remember them? They attack him with offers of a boot shine. He lays down his two small guitar cases and props a boot onto the shine box. The other kid offers to do the other boot, so he stands on that one as well. This, my friends, is Kino. Mariachi is getting dressed for the show that day. We just see him having just bathed. Seems to be getting dressed for like an important concert, rocking out. The song he taught Nino to play, it's in his head. He doesn't expect to come out of this alive. And that song fades into Nino playing the guitar. Close up, tennis shoe feet along the sidewalk at a low angle. The camera cranes upward to reveal Nino practicing this song that the mariachi has taught him. He's gotten so good at it that he's adding his own little licks and variations to it. We can tell by the look on his face that he knows the mariachi is going to like this stuff. Note, the soundtrack here builds around this little tune that he's playing, incorporating it, eventually drowning it out in a suspense-filled crescendo before returning back down to the singular sound of the boy's guitar. Nice effect. The music builds as the scene builds. Works great. There's now a close-up of tires riding past the camera. We crane up to see the black limo cruising the streets. Right Hand and his men are loading their weapons, surveying the Sleepy Town's landscape for any signs of the mariachi. The guitar fighters that we know are in town now, we see a close-up of their boots walking steadily through a deserted street. The camera cranes up to reveal Campa as he heads toward the rendezvous. Close-up of the newly shined boots of Mr. Kino as he searches for the others. Here on out, Campa and Kino are referred to as guitar fighters, and they're cool.
Yeah.
Mariachi, back to him. Close-up of his spurred boots walking steadily into town down a different street. We crane up to reveal Mr. Mariachi. The camera dollies ahead of him, giving us a low front angle view of him as he searches for those guitar fighters. And now we get a montage. You got to do a montage. Different angles of images building rhythmically with the swelling music, boots, the limo, the boy's tennis shoes, the guitar cases, the boy playing guitar, the weapons loading in the limo. Everything drops to the little song on the guitar.
We gotta have a montage.
Gotta have a montage. The camera is tight on the guitar playing, then cranes up, way up, to show the entire street layout and the situation that this kid is walking into. The guitar fighters enter the frame and stop. From behind the camera, Mariachi enters and dominates the foreground. Cool shot. The guitar fighters see him. Mariachi takes his place beside them. The visual is comical, yet oddly threatening and way cool. They're just deadly serious. The limo turns the corner, stops dead in its tracks. The guitar fighters are waiting at the other end of the street. It's all quiet. The limo's idling. The guitar fighters are motionless. The rest of the street, empty. Inside the limo, Right Hand and his henchmen have their eyes fixed on the three dark strangers. Henchman sitting there and he's like, I don't know those guys. The Right Hand grabs the phone. He punches in the number to Bucho's ranch.
Bring my truck and everybody you can carry down to the corner of Sandinas and Moros. Bring my truck. Hurry up.
There's only 3 of them.
Just in case.
The boy rounds. Forget about it. The boy rounds the corner, the camera following behind him. Mariachi hears the tune, turns to see where it's coming from. The boy, concentrating on his music, doesn't see the limo behind him. By the time he sees the guitar fighters, the limo's sunroof bursts open and the henchman bolts up with a machine gun. The mariachi opens his case as it drops to the ground, grabbing the big gun as the 2 other guitar fighters take positions. Slow motion of the monkey. Remember him? Diving off the shoulder of the one guitar fighter as he takes cover behind the other. The sunroof sniper opens fire. Dirt kicks up around the guitar fighters. The boy drops the guitar at the sound of the piercing bullets and takes cover. Smart kid. Mariachi returns fire as he does. Guitar fighter number 1, that may be Danny Trejo. The guitar fighter's guitar case is different. He doesn't have. Oh, he's Navajas.
Trejo was Navajas. He's dead now.
Yeah, I'll say Navajas. He doesn't have to open the lid. The front panel on the guitar slides open, exposing the barrel. He simply aims the entire case. Oh, this is from El Mariachi is this guy. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, from the first movie. The barrel at the front. Yeah. He simply waves the guitar wherever he wants to shoot. The limo is riddled with bullets from the machine gun guitar fighter's case, all of which deflect off the bulletproof surface. We knew it was bulletproof. Why didn't he? The sunroof sniper had ducked into the limo during the return fire, but now he bolts up for another round as the limo starts cruising forward. Guitar fighter number 2, now he steps up to the plate with his case. His guitar is different from the others as well. All 3 of these guys got different shits going on. He simply swings his case up to his shoulder. It seats comfortably there, and in this position, the case looks like a rocket launcher. It is. He adjusts the weight, squats, and fires. A loud, clean missile ejects from the front panel and explodes across the hood of the limo. This seems to cause some major dents and topical damage, if not shake up the men inside quite a bit. The sunroof sniper is scared shitless at this new development. He's like, damn, they got rockets. The men inside are trying to get on the phone to work. They're all shaken up. Nobody wants to die, especially with a rocket up their butt. The driver tries to start the engine. The side doors burst open and a few men scramble out, running for cover among the buildings and the parked cars. Machine gun fighter angles his guitar case in the direction of the soldiers, squeezes the handle of his guitar, and close up of the guitar as the panel slides open once more. The barrel rapidly spits bullets that tear up the soldiers taking cover behind the car. The boy, wanting to get to his guitar, doesn't want it to get messed up, which he had dropped earlier when he was running for cover. It's about 10 feet away. Missile guitar fighter lowers his guitar case to a normal kind of position. Machine gun guitar fighter gives a hand signal directing missile guitar fighter to aim a little lower this time. He's like, dude, down, down, down. The limo roars to life. The boy is eyeing his guitar, thinking maybe it's magic too, waiting for the right moment to crawl over there to it. With the case at his side, missile guitar fighter rearms the launcher by snapping the case downward. It makes a reloading sound, ka-chunk, and then he smoothly swings the case up to his shoulder, then squats almost like it's ballet. That move is beautiful to watch, guys. The sunroof sniper reemerges as the limo makes a hasty retreat, trying to get the hell out of there. Sunroof sniper opens fire, but it's too late. Missile guitar fighter squeezes the handle, launching another missile, strikes the limo's underbelly, explosion, sending the limo somersaulting in the air towards an overhead camera. Lucky they had the camera there, where it hangs for a moment before crashing down on its hood, its fiery weight crushing the sunroof sniper, who was still just kind of sticking out like he's at a spring break party or something like that. Missile guitar fighter turns away from the wreckage, chuckling, because it's funny to kill people like this. He stops when he sees Right Hand's truck filled with armed henchmen that Right Hand had called earlier, saying, get down here. He sees them coming from behind. The boy crawls over to the non-magical, non-weaponized guitar. The henchmen tumble out of his truck and scatter in different directions, taking cover and opening fire on all the guitar fighters. The mariachi dives for cover behind his guitar. Bullets deflect off the bulletproof lid on the mariachi's open case. The mariachi jumps back to the tight group formation with fresh clips and returns fire on the henchman. Machine gun fighter, he sprays the area with bullets. Many men go down in this sweep, while others are killed by cars that explode when old missile guitar fighter blasts a missile their way. Missile guitar fighter rearms his case, swings it to his shoulder, and fires again. One henchman sees the guitar aim this direction and is like, I'm out of here, and starts to run. POV of the missile itself as it bursts out of the case, spinning wildly towards the running henchman, finally blasting that henchman and sending him flying up to a second balcony. The blast takes off like the whole side of the building, so you know that dude is screwed, blued, and tattooed. Right Hand staggers out of the limo wreckage as the camera dollies back with him at a Dutch angle like Rob was doing, and his head bleeds as he trips over himself in just totally disorientation. One wild henchman charges atop a burning car, blasting missile guitar fighter. Missile guitar fighter snaps backward with the impact of those bullets punching through his body, and we're like, damn, he hasn't been on screen for 5 minutes and he's dead. As he drops backward to the ground, his case fires, still sending one more missile straight up into the air. Machine gun guitar fighter shows a brief moment of remorse toward his buddy. Oh shit, he's dead.
Oh no.
Maybe a half second's worth, and then returns fire to the man aboard the flaming car, who is ripped to shreds before just falling flat on the metal bonfire. Mariachi presses his back against machine gun fighters, and then those two walk together in like a tight two-man formation, one covering the other. Oh, back to that missile POV. The camera is the missile as it falls back to earth, straight down toward the missile guitar fighter, who is laying there like spread-eagled in the dirt, staring straight up at the oncoming missile. And the camera is now on machine gun fighter, who strides determinedly, like hiding towards the hiding henchman as missile guitar fighter explodes in the background. Machine gun guitar fighter just hardly flinches at that point. You got to do what you got to do. Keep working. Keep your eye on the prize. Mariachi is turning his attention to the spot where he last saw Nino, because he knows that that gun is, or that guitar is just a guitar. It's not weaponized. Machine gun guitar fighter is doing a good job of almost single-handedly taking out all these henchmen that are hiding behind the cars. Mariachi's eyes dart about. He's looking for that kid and finally sees the boy lying motionless on the sidewalk, partially obscured by a telephone pole, and he sees his bloody hand. It's outstretched to the guitar beside him. The fire spread by the explosion nearing him. Mariachi runs out halfway across the street. He stops in his tracks, pondering for a moment if he should abandon the guitar fighter to help the kid or stand his ground and back him up. guitar fighter stares at him as if it shouldn't be an issue. Stand your ground, man. That's what his eyes are saying. But mariachi can't stand to see this kid get killed, and he runs for him. The bullets fly as machine gun fighter stands his ground. Mariachi huddles against the bleeding child. The kid's face is riddled with confusion and pain. He's dying. Machine gun fighter rips more bad guys to shreds with the unrelenting gunfire, but several henchmen return very deadly fire that punch through machine gun fighter and send him crashing to his knees. But before he goes, he tilts his guitar case up and just blasts a few more of these bad guys. A sharpshooter fires the death blow to him, to guitar fighter's head from 50 yards away.
Oh.
Machine gun guitar fighter dies where he kneels with his case still gripped tightly in his hand. And we think about this for a long time, that we hear about these guys as badasses for the whole movie. Then they come on screen and die in 10 minutes. It's very cool. It's inspired glorious scenes in my movie. The monkey, we don't have a monkey in our movie. We have Gloria. The monkey climbs atop his dying master. The bleeding guitar fighter breathes his last breath. The monkey sees the henchman heading towards the mariachi. The mariachi lifts the kid in his arms and tries to carry him away. The monkey, still being a badass, climbs into the mariachi's guitar case and finds his own little guitar case that the mariachi showed Carolina earlier. The last few henchmen slowly creep out from hiding, out from the burning wreckage of the parked cars, and proceed to find that last mariachi. The monkey opens the guitar case, finds a little bitty pistol. Then he darts down the street towards the henchman in front of the group. The henchman sees this tiny creature darting toward him, and before he can even react, the monkey leaps to the man's chest and grabs his collar. With the other hand, he shoves the tiny little pistol into the henchman's face and fires. He got fucking killed by a monkey. The tiny blast blinds the henchman, who falls back, clasping his bloody face. The other henchmen are stunned as the monkey leaps under a car and scurries for an opening. The henchmen look about for the monkey, who may pop out at any time. That's what monkeys do. The monkey pops out, as we expected, onto the hood of the car, behind a henchman who returns in time to see the little gun barrel leveled at his face. The monkey blasts him and sends him screaming to the ground. Someone tries to sneak up on that monkey, whose other pistol is in his left hand, darting out behind to blast that man in the face. The monkey aims both pistols at the man and fires repeatedly until the henchman falls. More henchmen come up and the monkey surrenders. He's like, "Hey, I'm just a monkey. I give up." He holds his hands up and levels a gun barrel at his own head for quick suicide. Obviously, it's better than being captured and taken in for questioning. Monkeys will give up shit fast. The henchmen hold their fire and watch intently as the monkey does himself in. Before an eye can be batted, the monkey re-aims his gun at a henchman and blows them away, though. Boom. Fooled ya. Close-up shot of mismatched shoes darting from behind a building, climbing into right-hand's truck. That's Carolina, we know from the messed up shoes. Carolina starts up and peels back with it. The henchmen turn to see who of their men is starting a retreat. The truck kicks forward, accelerating quickly, charging the henchmen who are left on foot. They try and scramble out of Carolina's way, but she's pounding at the accelerator on her way to hell. It's a highway to hell. AC/DC made a song about that.
Totally.
She smashes most of them against the parked car where the monkey made his stand. The few henchmen left are down by the mariachi. The truck skids to a stop near the mariachi and the boy. The mariachi carries the wounded boy, lays him at the bed of the truck. Carolina slips to the back and mariachi climbs up the front. We can see the armed man out of focus in the background stagger from the side of the truck. Carolina screams at the sight of right hand, who can barely hold himself up, firing shots at her. Mariachi guns the truck around to the face, the right hand. Right hand's empty gun clicks uselessly at Mariachi. Click, click, click.
Click, 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 click.
Mariachi pounds the accelerator, running over right hand, whose last sight is of his beloved truck speeding over him. That's called karma. It's irony. Irony is better than Goldie. As Mariachi continues on the clinic across town, we see the monkey climb up to his dead master's chest where he sits and rests. Interior of a hospital day. Montage. Got to have a montage of the hospital. Hooking up the boy for a last attempt of a rescue. Needles, monitors, other crude-looking machinery are brought in. Mariachi tears through the hospital, trying to build up the hate necessary to go through with this final step. Carolina, on the other hand, is silent. Mariachi's wired like nothing we've seen. Mariachi storms into the operating room. The nurses try and get him to leave, but he sees the boy dying on the table. And as they huddle around him, he marches down the hall. He sees this image from his past, the pain, the death, the loss, the senseless killing, the monster that he's become in order to destroy a monster. He knows what he has to do, and it scares him, man. He storms past Carolina. Carolina watches in disbelief as he bursts out of the hospital. She bolts to her feet and runs after him. She ain't done with this cat. Showdown. This is at Bucho's ranch. Close up of Bucho's phone as it rings. That's one of their two important functions. The camera pulls back slowly to reveal Bucho sitting next to it, not answering it. Bucho is surrounded by the few men he has left. They all have their guns ready for whatever should happen.
Hey, maybe you should answer your phone.
Maybe you should do your job and shut the fuck up.
I figure it could be right hand.
If right hand has something to tell me, he'll come here. Otherwise, it's safe to assume that he's dead. And someone is simply calling to tell me that I've screwed up the entire operation. To tell me that not only could I not handle the business, but that I managed to destroy half the town, completely blowing the use of all of this, all the surrounding towns, which I controlled. It's safe to assume that it's someone calling to tell me that there is 100 hitmen heading to me, my way, right now to show me what happens when you're fucked up.
Bucho is out of his seat now, and the henchmen are backing away because they know how this goes. Bucho spins around and shoots the phone, and it stops ringing. Exterior of out on the road, Mariachi and Carolina barrel down the dusty road to Bucho's ranch.
All I know is that it's 2 miles north of here. I don't know where the entrance is or best way to get in. You must realize that he has contacts in this house all along here. He knows we're coming.
I know.
But what's the plan?
No plan. We ride in and say hello.
So he's just gonna let you walk in there?
He will.
We cut. Exterior of Bucho's ranch. One of the henchmen walks towards Bucho, but is sure not to get too close.
Right hand's truck is headed towards the north entrance.
Bucho finishes his drink.
Then, let's go to the north entrance.
We cut to outside the ranch. Mariachi is checking the place out. There seems to be only one way in from this road.
Drive up to the door, and I'll get out. If things go bad, I want you to get out of there. Don't worry. Don't wait.
Yeah, well, I'm going with you.
Mariachi and Carolina step out of the truck and walk toward the gate. He has his guitar case. Other than that, they're unarmed. As they near the gate, it opens. Mariachi and Carolina step inside the fortress slowly. Bucho is standing there waiting for them. He has his gun aimed at them, and so do his men. Mariachi continues inside. Carolina holds back just a bit. She's having second thoughts about this now, but it's too late. Bucho is studying Mariachi, not believing his eyes. Carolina picks up the weirdness of the moment. Mariachi walks in like it's any day of the week, placing his guitar case on the ground. He stands beside it, keeping his eyes on Bucho.
Manito.
Mariachi is emotionless. Bucho is in disbelief.
What the hell are you doing here?
Mariachi shrugs defiantly.
You're the one trying to kill me. All of this time. I think I'm looking for the devil himself. And all this time, it was my own fucking brother. Are you out of your sick fucking mind? I did not know it was you, Cesar. I only found out this morning.
Cesar Bucho is dumbfounded. The realization finally hits Carolina. Now it all makes sense.
You are the last person I thought would be coming through that door.
Bucho extends his arms, walks up to the mariachi, embraces him. The other henchmen are wondering, what the hell is going on here? And they close in a little bit. Mariachi's eyes are fixed on Carolina. Bucho breaks the embrace. He holds Mariachi's face in his gun-filled hands.
Do you know how much trouble you have caused me?
He presses a gun barrel against his brother's cheek.
Let me tell you in a non-technical terms. You fucked me. The men I worked for, the men that run this entire countryside, put their faith in me when I told them I can handle this operation. And now, because of you, they're probably singing a hit squad in to do me in right now.
The mariachi does not flinch. His eyes are on Carolina. She's distraught. She cries silently for him. She knows that she's pushed him to this.
I ought to kill you right now. You've disgraced me. You've disgraced us. Why? Because I was the only one that wanted to move up in the world? We always knew you were up to no good, Cesar. Never thought you'd go this far. So my little brother comes to teach me a lesson, huh? Show me what's right from wrong. You're a guitar player. What the fuck is a guitar player doing killing my men, ruining my business? The men killed the women I loved. Mauricio did that. That has nothing to do with me. He works for you. You put that crazy bastard in town. He was your responsibility. And you killed him. So what do you want from me? Mauricio was crazy. I'm sorry about that. He was good at running the business, and that's why I put him there. We did not set out to kill innocent people. You just buy innocent people. You don't kill them until you've run them out. Rewind. You just buy innocent people. You don't kill them until you run them out of use for them. Yeah.
He glances at Carolina.
Okay. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Will you forgive me, Minito? You think I used to do anything against my own brother on purpose?
Mariachi says nothing. He just turns back to Carolina.
But who's this? Isn't she the woman you love now? You see? When I take something away, I replace it with something else. She's yours, Minito. Isn't she a piece of work? She runs one of our best fronts.
Cesar looks deep into her eyes.
I mean, she used to run one of our best fronts.
Bastard.
Sorry about the bookstore. I was afraid you might run off with this guy. I thought I had to make sure you bring him to me. Had I known he was my own kid brother, I would have acted differently. You have to answer for the lives you've ruined. Not just mine, everyone's. If you want to right all the wrongs, be my guest. Walk into the government's official's office, put a bullet in their head, and you'll be killing someone involved in what's going on. You have no idea how far the trail leads. I work for very powerful people. I was moving up, jumping through hoops and hurdles, trying to prove that I could be one of them. Then all of a sudden, you come along and make me in this operation look incompetent. You have ruined me, Manito. Something had to be done. Brother or no brother, you've gone too far.
A few henchmen are walking along the wall behind them. Two more flank just a few yards behind Carolina and Mariachi.
Look at you. You came here to kill me. Like you said, brother or no brother. Papa wouldn't be so proud of you anymore, huh? You were his little caracterista, his little mariachi. And now you're just a piece of shit like me.
Mariachi raises his head. He stares right into Cesar. This is that moment, that you get in all these movies. Cesar notices that the mariachi's hands are fidgeting too close to his sides.
Manito.
Carolina is ready to run out of the gate and get the hell out of here.
Manito. Put your hands up.
Mariachi closes his eyes. He doesn't want this. We can see he doesn't want this. The look on his face is begging his brother, don't do this. Cesar aims his gun at the mariachi.
Put him up.
Mariachi raises his hands halfway. His eyes are filling with tears.
I'm sorry, Manito. But as good as you've become, I know you'll never work for me.
The mariachi takes a deep breath and then raises his hands up all the way.
And anyone that doesn't work for me works against me.
The mariachi breathes deeply as the countdown begins.
And where you're going, you won't be needing her.
Cesar points the gun at Carolina. A tear rolls down the mariachi's face and he whispers,
5, 6, 7, 8.
Carolina turns slowly to Mariachi, realizing what's going on, and she looks back to Cesar.
Goodbye, Carolina.
Carolina dives to the ground. Cesar is caught by surprise and re-aims the gun down at her. Medium shot of Mariachi as his 245s shoot up from his sleeves into his waiting hands. Cesar sees this and re-aims his guns at the mariachi. Super slow-mo as the mariachi levels his pistols and fires. The bullets mercilessly tear at his brother's flesh until he drops in the dirt like a bloody rag. Carolina leaps to her feet and grabs the gun behind the mariachi's waist. She spins around and blasts the two henchmen behind them. Another henchman is atop the wall and running towards her for a closer shot. Her back is to him. Carolina spins in time to shoot enough bullets to take him down, along with everything around him. She's not the most accurate shooter, but damn, she's hot. And the bullets that she's shooting are enough that one eventually finds their target. Carolina sees the mariachi, who is crouched on the ground, holding his dying brother in his arms. Close-up of Cesar, his mouth gaping and shuddering, as if trying to say something. He chokes on the silent words before breathing his last breath. The mariachi holds his dead brother and cries. Carolina puts her hand on his shoulder as the mariachi stares at the ground through the tears that wash down his face.
Everyone they've killed. Someone's father. Someone's son. Someone's brother.
Boom. Mariachi looks into his brother's face and makes the sign of the cross with his gun and then lifts his brother off the ground. The sun is setting as the mariachi carries his brother out the gate, and we dissolve to a hospital. The small hospital clinic is operating as usual. The patient of the moment is the little boy with the guitar on the bed beside him and a life support hookup. He's unconscious. The mariachi is at Nino's side, continuing with his narration.
We pay for our crimes. One way or another, we pay.
The mariachi plucks a tune on Nino's guitar, teaching himself a new variation to the original song. Carolina is watching them from the doorway. She's trying to say what she's been wanting to say for hours.
I'm sorry for pushing you to go after him.
The mariachi looks at her as if something he's trying to put behind him.
Why don't you say anything?
You wouldn't have let me go through with it. And I had to decide for myself.
She accepts that as an answer.
There's no such thing as an easy payback. But I did the right thing. He's my brother now. The youngest brother I never had. Someone full of hope. Ideals. Talent.
Nino is silent and Carolina is crying. Nino's father enters the room. Mariachi sees him and stands. He brushes Nino's hair one last time.
Practice.
Nino hears nothing. On his way out, Mariachi grabs the father by the arm in a tight grip.
Don't destroy his dreams. Just because you couldn't fulfill yours.
The mariachi's about to leave it at that, but decides to give the back of Dad's head a nice hard shove. He walks out of the room and Carolina follows.
Where are you going?
He pulls out the smashed bullet sculpture. He's made a necklace out of it. He places it around her neck and kisses her.
Far away.
The mariachi gives her the paper-wrapped wad of advance money. He walks down the hall as she looks on. He leaves the hospital, and the darkness outside swallows him. Carolina sits on a bench, dropping the money down on the bench beside her. We dissolve to the streets of Santa Cecilia at sunrise. Mariachi walks through the town one last time. He has his guitar case at his side. He's dressed in his full mariachi regalia. He passes the corner where the children are setting up for their day's work. His pit bull, remember him, is still with them. Mariachi pulls the choke collar from his breast pocket. It dangles at his side. Remember that choke collar?
I know I am not a responsible dog owner, so it is time for you to go.
The pit bull follows Mariachi, who is walking ahead.
Goodbye, Pero.
The children call their dog, who stops in the street. He looks between Mariachi and the children. The mariachi shrugs and walks up to the dog. He pets him, looks into his eyes, and then he tosses the choke collar to the children.
I'll see you around.
Mariachi wanders off, and the pit bull returns to the children, and neither looks back. We cut to Mariachi on the road, sunrise. Mariachi's walking down that same road that he entered town from. A truck is parked on a hill. We recognize it. It's Steve Buscemi's truck.
You did a real good. You did real good. Got your money right here. They're real happy with what you did.
Keep it. You shouldn't get paid for killing your own family.
Suit yourself.
What would you like to do with the guitar case full of guns?
Sell it? Why? You giving up your case?
Nope. I'm selling my guns.
$50?
Mariachi takes the bill and dumps the guns into the bed of the truck.
All right. Here's another 50. Want a lift?
Mariachi just nods no. Shakes his head no.
What are you going to do now?
The mariachi just shrugs.
You're a driven man. See ya.
Buscemi drives off towards the Sopranos. The truck leaves the screen, revealing Carolina, who is speeding up behind Mariachi in the monster truck. She stops next to Mariachi. Mariachi is closing the empty case.
You like my new truck? What are you gonna do now with your toys?
Sold them.
Giving up the guns?
He just nods yes.
Hop in.
He's about to open the door.
Wait, you swear?
He holds up his right hand and puts his left hand on his heart. Oh,
I swear.
Okay. Maybe. Hop in.
click! A 45 pops up from his sleeve and into his hand. Carolina turns and sees it.
Just in case.
Good thinking. He climbs in the front seat. We see that scorpion. Remember the scorpion?
I do.
Walking in front of the truck. His stinger is raised high, ready to strike. The truck drives off. Remember the truck? Missing it by an inch. The monkey. Remember the monkey? The monkey was cool. Pops up from behind the truck and shoots his little pistol. Pew, 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 pew.
The monkey killed a lot of people.
He's the last murdered in the thing. He kills the scorpion here. The scorpion explodes. The truck fades into the rising sun. Nino's silhouette, larger than life, superimposes over this image by entering the frame from the left against the orange sky. With his guitar, he plays the tune he practiced throughout the movie. The music score rises, integrating with his little song, and we get back to them credits. We love credits, and the picture fades. Is that how it ended in the movie? Was it Nino?
No,
I didn't think so.
I don't know.
I think
It's just Selma picking him up and then
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
For some reason I thought in the movie like there was a scene of him selling his guns, but there wasn't. I thought like literally when we were reading this, I'm like, I really kind of remember that scene. I'm like, no, that really wasn't a thing. I was like, maybe it was like an alternate cut or something like that, like a director's cut, maybe. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
do you see Buscemi?
No, Buscemi gets
That's what I
killed.
was going to say. I didn't remember that. I didn't remember Buscemi coming back at the end. I was going to say the exact same thing, David.
Yeah,
I thought
Buscemi didn't come back.
that's why I
He got
said what I
killed.
said earlier. That's why I thought that his thing ended.
He got killed with the throwing knives.
No, it wasn't him.
Yeah, Buscemi got killed with the throwing knife. I literally just watched
With who?
the movie.
Oh, really?
Who?
Steve
When did-
Buscemi.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Trejo threw the throwing knives when they were talking
'cause-
right
'cause
after the church. They were
Yeah,
talking
'cause
right
he's
after
gonna-
church.
Yeah, because he's gonna go Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Steve
it's-
Buscemi was the priest. He was like, "Yo, I'm out of here." Then,
Yeah.
El Mariachi
Navajas,
comes right back. He's like, "Yo, no, you can't leave me. You can't leave me." He's like, "Screw this shit." And then Navajas comes in and throws the knives, kills Buscemi first, and then
That starts.
he turns around and then he takes that first knife and then he runs into the alley, and
Yeah.
that's where we
Gotcha.
don't have the cops.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
a couple of things that are different.
yeah, a couple of things, but for some reason I felt like the whole selling of the guns thing, I saw him do that, but
So
I guess not.
There's two things like structurally that I really like about this movie as a writer, and like like before I ever wrote a screenplay, I was writing stories and stuff as a kid, and when I saw this movie, there was a couple of things that I liked about it structurally, like as an audience member watching the story and as a writer, thinking about how they did it. The two things that really appealed to me were the storyline with Navajas, the fact that you have this character that's present throughout the whole movie and it's real unclear of what is going on with them, and that they really get killed without any impact. Well, I don't want to say with no impact, but without the expected impact, especially in this type of movie, he does not get to fulfill a role that you expect him to fulfill. And that's what I like about the other two guys that show up, because it's the same thing. You expect that they're going to come into town, and that's how it's going to end, is basically the three of them team up and just clear the fucking place out. Instead, you hear about those guys, you see them early in the movie, you hear about them, and then they show up and then they're dead 5 minutes later.
Cannon fodder.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, Rodriguez is definitely thinking outside of the Hollywood box. You do know what I mean? As far as like the way that typical stories flow in Hollywood, by adding in these types of characters and giving them significance, because usually we don't let characters like this have any weight. We don't let them get felt. They play other purposes. So it's really, I really enjoy just the different feel, the gutsy feel of this movie, and the way that Rodriguez keeps it so like non-standard. It's kind of like I said with Vengeance Turns. All the pieces are there for the standard revenge story, but then taking and tweaking it throughout so that the people who give in and watch it are rewarded with something original, along with what they expected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good story. And me and David, so Rob, we've been joking or not joking, we've been threatening to do this since we started, of doing like either, we said 2 men, like we were going to just me and him do a Batman episode or something. So we really got a taste today to see what it's like to, man, it was fun too.
It's exhausting.
Now you guys know how I feel after almost every show though.
Like it was great, like going back and forth and like going through the different voices. It is super hard to keep it. Like doing a mariachi and bucho is like the hardest one. That was like, because some of my mariachi, like my bucho linked, like seeped into my mariachi. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, no, gotta go a little higher for that one. That's my regular voice. And like the easiest one was the bartender. Just do a Cheech, like a Cheech Marin impression. I'm like, there you go. So it's like,
it's the actors who work with us should, me and David told us before, they should embrace the opportunity when they have not one of the main roles and they've got one of the, like we have them handling like a handful of secondary roles. That should never make any actor that works with us like, oh damn, I don't want to do that. They should always look at that like, this is a great opportunity, because that sharpens up skill sets that, man, are incredibly valuable, making you, like you said, isolate that character especially if you have to deal with yourself, but just switching around, you got to keep them distinct and stuff. And that's the actor's job, man. Dude, this is good practice.
You know how like hard and, well, I wouldn't say frustrating, but definitely mind draining it is to go from being like an angry, just frustrated and just bewildered character to someone that's just like sad and just remorseful and just wants to be like, I just want my brother back. What the fuck? And he's like, fuck you, you ruined my shit. So it's a lot.
Well, every once in a while, when I'm reading this and I have to do a character too, I'll be sitting there reading along like da 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 da, reading the actions, and then I'll have to read a character's voice, and I have to make sure that I totally, like you said, like get back away from it, give it a pause for a second, and then slow down what the character says before I go back in and start telling you the actions and the da-da-da-da, because I got to make it separate, you got to let it be felt.
And it's not just like just being able to do different voices, but it's like
No.
being able to get yourself into that mindset and try to like put it in, especially. And it's really hard when you have to do like on Hollywood. It's like, okay, cut. All right, you ready? Now let's shoot all of Bucho's lines. Now I got to do everything right there and then. So
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's definitely good practice.
That's what I was saying, man. I mean, to me, it's reading scripts in general is something actors should be doing. You should be doing this. If you're an actor, you should be doing this every day, reading a script. And if you have the opportunity to read them out loud and read them with other people, man, that's an opportunity you don't want to pass up because it's a great skill sharpener.
Absolutely.
Exercise is good.
Oh my goodness. I just ran the New York City Marathon right now, so I'm done with that right now.
Yeah, and this one did go longer than even some of the other ones because literally almost 4 hours.
Yep. Yeah, we don't have to do a post show. We can call this our post show.
This,
it's the three of us. We're exhausted.
Yeah, I know, right? This is part of the post show.
So taking a nap after this.
Well, I think we're probably headed for the same thing. I'm gonna probably go smoke a bowl and just kind of chill out. And if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. You know.
For sure. I still have some editing. Like I had 4 hours of sleep. I fell asleep at 8 a.m. this morning, and woke up like half an hour before we started the show, or before 1, so like at 12:30. So, but yeah, and it's gonna be another long night. Hence the rock stars, if you saw them at the beginning. But again, to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate you, your comments, your likes, live chatting with you guys. And again, if you're watching for the first time, be sure to go to Cabin Fever Radio on all social medias, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, blah, 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 all the,
Instagram, TikToking, and switching, slapping.
Cabin Fever Radio, including audio podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and like 50 other different
iHeartRadio.
Radio podcast and some of the other ones. So you can find us anywhere at Cabin Fever Radio. And again, we are going to continue on without a post show today because of how long this one ran and the marathon that these two amazing actors and creators and talented just people in general. But again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
You guys rock.
You guys rock. And we're going to go off with a little ditty that I don't know if Rob remembers this. I played this yesterday with Bobby. But again, thank you. And you've been listening to Cabin Fever Radio Novellas.
I'm trying to remember what. Well, the audio just went down. You got to bring the audio back up.
You have it there?
Now it is. Is that Legends of Zelda?
No. It is for all listening. If you know what it is actually, it's Mozart, but played out of a Nokia 3310.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Which I had and would play Snake on it.
Oh, gosh. That thing will still last long after the human race is gone.
Oh, for sure. And again, thank you for joining us. This has been Cabin Fever Radio signing off.
Peace.
See ya.